starting as the hand behind the scenes in Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51, The Secret Spy. If Hatake Kakashi was the only one here, he would definitely try to get involved in what happened to Orochimaru, not to mention the treasure. However, he has Karin, who saved him, by his side. After Uehara and Naraku drove them away, he acted as if he was trying his best to hide the treasures in the village, and was determined not to let the Konoha ninjas covet them. Hatake Kakashi frowned, picked up Karin on the ground, and left the place step by step. He didn't seem to be interested in the treasure that Uehara and Naraku mentioned. There is no doubt that after Kakashi settled Karin, he would not easily give up on finding out information about Uehara and Orochimaru. Uehara and Naraku also thought of this. When he saw Hatake Kakashi disappear, he immediately wanted to get rid of Orochimaru. What's going on? Uehara and Naraku flew and stopped beside the nearest Maingetsu Hazuki and asked in a deep voice, "The strength of the three of you can't defeat Orochimaru?" Maingetsu Hazuki couldn't help but glance at Uehara and Naraku. Is this new boss too ambitious? How much he looks down on the three ninjas of Konoha. Orochimaru is not so easy to get rid of. At the end of the Third Ninja World War, Orochimaru and Minato Namikaze led the Konoha ninjas to drive them back to the land of water like driving ducks. Can't this boss ask Ashigaki Kisame next to him? That guy was an eyewitness of that year. Even if the three of them are the 7 ninja swordsmen who are in the rising period of strength, it is impossible for them to defeat Orochimaru in such a short time, right? To be more rational, it is not certain that we can win. Maingetsu sighed that Uehara and Naraku was ignorant of the world, but he could only explain, "My lord, the power of the three ninjas of Konoha is beyond our expectations. Orochimaru's ninjutsu is rather strange, and the three of us have not tried to cooperate in combat. The first generation of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist village fought in groups, and later they were wiped out. Maingetsu and other second generation 7 ninja swordsmen basically fought alone, and never cooperated to attack the enemy. To be honest, not only did the combat effectiveness not reach the effect of 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, but it might not be as satisfying as fighting alone. Especially Maingetsu Hazuki felt that Ashigaki Kisame was just slacking off, while Momochi's abuser was working very hard, but his strength was just so-so. Uehara and Naraku looked at Maingetsu Hazuki with a puzzled look on his face. Here's Orochimaru. You can't even get rid of him. Orochimaru has always been very strong in the civil war of the three ninjas of Konoha, but in foreign wars, he always becomes a background board to highlight the strength of others. Maingetsu Hazuki's expression was even more puzzled than his, and even a little unbelievable. Do you think we should be able to defeat Orochimaru easily? Maingetsu Hazuki did see with his own eyes how powerful Naraku Uehara was. He killed the 4th Mizukage Yagura with a snap of his fingers, but Orochimaru was not as easy to deal with as Yagura. To be honest, Maingetsu Hazuki didn't think Yagura could defeat Orochimaru. And compared to the 4th Mizukage Yagura, Orochimaru was really well known to them, the ninjas. Lord Uehara. Ashigaki Kisame saw them discussing and guessed something. He took the opportunity to withdraw and whispered to Uehara, "There are other enemies hiding nearby. It could be him." With the help of perception and jutsu, Ashigaki Kisame noticed the existence of other enemies near this battlefield. The most likely one is Uchiha Obito. Uehara and Naraku's face suddenly darkened. No wonder Ashigaki Kisame has been paddling. However, just a few seconds after Ashigaki Kisame withdrew from the battlefield, Orochimaru took the opportunity to release a group of snakes with Kusanagi swords in their mouths. Many snakes. Momochi's abuser, who was still fighting, was pierced through the shoulder by a Kusanagi sword. This guy's really a useless piece of iron. Seeing that the situation was not good, Ashigaki Kisame rushed up again in a hurry to stop the many snakes, but because of the prying of outsiders, he still paddled honestly. The person who was peeping was most likely Uchiha Obito. Moreover, Ashigaki Kisame knew that placing a spy next to Uchiha Obito was the most important thing. Uehara and Naraku frowned subconsciously when he heard Kisame's words and scanned everything around him. He was not confident that he could defeat Obito now. Of course, Uehara himself could easily escape. As long as he activated the Holy Judgment, he could hide underground and escape from Obito's pursuit by using the Mayfly technique. However, he had worked hard to win over the 7 ninja swordsmen in the Land of Water, and also picked up Kaguya Kimimaro and Haku. How could Uehara easily abandon them? Uehara Naraku's eyes turned and looked at Orochimaru in the center of the battlefield with a smile on his face. TSK, Orochimaru, you are lucky this time. Center of the battlefield. Orochimaru was bored dealing with the 7 ninja swordsmen. His ninjutsu and illusions might not be very effective against Uchiha Itachi, but he felt that it was more than enough to deal with 7 ninja swordsmen. Just as Orochimaru was about to defeat Ashigaki Kisame and others one by one, he suddenly felt uneasy, and then he heard a shout, "Senior Orochimaru, as long as you give me the information about Senior Rafei in the Ring of the Void, I don't mind letting you go." "Just you?" Orochimaru laughed evilly, glanced at Uehara Naraku, and then glanced at Kisame and others who were holding strange ninja swords. He suddenly spit out a Kusanagi sword that was hundreds of meters long, sweeping everything around. Although Orochimaru didn't know what danger Uehara Naraku and others would bring, the palpitation just now made him decide to get rid of Uehara and others immediately and leave the Land of Water to avoid any danger. Snakes have always been very sensitive to crisis. "You guys step back." Uehara Naraku walked up, grabbed the 100-meter long Kusanagi sword with one hand, and said coldly, "I'm here to have a good talk with Orochimaru-senpai." "Yes, sir." Hazumi Maingetsu and Ashigaki Kisame looked at each other. Momochi's abuser covered his wounds, and the 3 of them retreated from the battle. Orochimaru's snake pupils froze for a second, looking at Uehara Naraku who was walking over. Even with the sharpness of the Kusanagi sword, he couldn't do anything to the little devil in front of him. Sure enough, there is no ordinary ninja who can join Akatsuki, even if Uehara Naraku is just an intern. "Senior Orochimaru, don't be so impulsive." Uehara Naraku approached Orochimaru, looked up at the pair of cold snake eyes, chuckled and said, "Don't underestimate me, just because I'm an intern of Akatsuki. As long as you tell me the information about Uchiha Obito and hand over the Ring of the Void, I don't mind sparing your life." Orochimaru looked at Uehara with disdain, snorted coldly and said, "HMPH, if you want to threaten me, you'd better call Pain." All the members of the entire Akatsuki organization, one by one, except for Pain and Uchiha Itachi, Orochimaru didn't take any other members seriously because he suffered a great loss at the hands of those two. Then follow the advice of Senior Orochimaru. Uehara Naraku chuckled. What Orochimaru said was exactly what he wanted. A black stick suddenly appeared at the tip of Uehara's finger. He stabbed the black stick into his arm fiercely, and with pain on his face, he put his hands together and made a seal. Ninjutsu, summoning technique. A summoning spell formed under his palm. After the black chakra rod entered his body, Uehara felt in an instant that someone else's chakra had entered his body, probing his position. The chakra sensor that made the 6 paths was extremely domineering. As the abnormal chakra in Uehara's body gradually dissipated, the smoke of the summoning technique floated up, and a figure appeared in front of everyone from the summoning array. It was Tendao Pain. Pain's Samsara slowly raised, and his cold voice fell into everyone's ears. "Uehara, are you in any trouble? Thank you Zaozu for the reward. Thank you for the reward from X Bizarre Adventure. Thank you for the reward from Metaverse 27. This name has been typed many times. Chapter 52. Is Obito a spy sent by Danzo? The moment he saw Pain, the smile on Orochimaru's face froze. He just wanted to mock Uehara Naraku, so how come he really summoned Pain? What happened? Orochimaru's first thought was, why Pain was summoned. Was it the ability of the Samsara Eye, or was Pain no longer a real human? If ninjas could communicate with each other, how much impact would it have on the information transmission and technology of ninjas? Orochimaru himself was really not sure that he could defeat Tendao Pain, especially since he had just undergone the reincarnation and abandoned his body. Lord Yahiko. Uehara Naraku's words interrupted Orochimaru's wild thoughts. The boy raised his palm and pointed at Orochimaru and said to Pain, "We have encountered a traitor of Akatsuki." Orochimaru? Pain raised his eyes and stretched out his palm towards Orochimaru. "Then let's solve it quickly. I don't have much time to appear." Tensei Tensei. A strange gravitational force pulled Orochimaru to Pain's position. Orochimaru was not willing to sit and wait for death. He spit out a long snake from his mouth again, and a Kusanagi sword came out of the snake's mouth, stabbing in the direction of Pain. Shinra Tensei. A repulsive force suddenly erupted, knocking Orochimaru out at a faster speed. This crushing battle ended here. Orochimaru had no power to fight back, and was seriously injured by two techniques of Tendaupin. Whether it was Maingetsu, Hashiga Kikisame or Momochi's abuser, they all looked at Tendaupin's figure with some horror. Orochimaru, who the three of them could not defeat just now, was defeated by this man in a red cloud and black robe in a few seconds, and there was no room for resistance. Okay. Tendaupin retracted his palm calmly, ignoring the tattered Orochimaru in the distance, turned his head to look at Hashiga Kikisame and others around him, and finally looked down at the boy next to him. Are these also enemies? Maingetsu and others looked nervous. Uehara Naraku shook his head and explained softly, they are all the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village. They are the people I recruited in the Land of Water this time. It was Pain's turn to be speechless. The task assigned to Uehara was obviously only to recruit Hashiga Kikisame, so why did he recruit other people? Are they reserve members after Hashiga Kikisame died in battle? Conan's disciple is unexpectedly capable. The Akatsuki organization has been losing manpower, and Uehara has recruited so many backup candidates, which saves them the trouble of finding ways to recruit new members. Apart from these, Uehara Naraku weighed his words and continued softly, does Lord Yahiko know the true identity of Senior Rafei? Uehara, why are you asking these questions? Pain's expression changed. In his heart, he didn't really want to leak the fact that Rafei was Uchiha Madara, because there were a lot of implications. But after thinking for a moment, Pain spoke to comfort Uehara. Conan has returned to the base. When you come back, let your teacher tell you. Wait. How can this be possible? If it is just to deal with Orochimaru, there is no need to summon the spirit of the heavenly path. Pain. Uehara's main purpose is to deter Uchiha Obito, who is secretly spying. In this way, as long as Uehara tells Pain the information in advance, there is no need for Obito to conceal the news of assassinating their team. Uehara Naraku quickly explained, Lord Yahiko, I accidentally met Kakashi Hatake of Konoha a few days ago. Kakashi had contact with Senior Rafei, and Kakashi called Senior Rafei Obito. After saying that, Uehara Naraku saw that Pain still didn't care, and continued to add, Senior Rafei wanted to kill me to silence me after hearing this name. Fortunately, Teacher Conan gave me 100 million detonating tags and I managed to escape. He wanted to kill you? Pain couldn't help but frowned. He wanted to kill you to silence you, because his name was leaked. This matter has become complicated. The past scenes appeared in Pain's mind. The mysterious masked man and Zetsu appeared in front of them that year, claiming to be the Shura of the ninja world, Uchiha Madara, and the one who guided the Eye of the Sage. Coincidentally, at that time, Shimura Danzo and Salamander Hanzo conspired to encircle and suppress the growing Akatsuki organization, including the leader Yahiko, who died in the battle, and only Nagato himself and Conan survived. If the real name of the mysterious masked man is Obito, and he is a Konoha ninja, then there must be some conspiracy hidden in this. Konoha's Shimura Danzo and Hanzo are besieging them. Another Konoha ninja shows up to guide Nagato. If these two things are not related, no matter who you are, it would be unlikely, right? Especially before the mysterious masked man and Zetsu appeared. Yahiko rejected their proposal, and then Akatsuki was besieged by Shimura Danzo and the Hidden Rain Village. After standing there thinking for a while, Pain's face suddenly turned cold, and he suddenly said, that guy, could it be a spy sent by Danzo? Uehara Naraku didn't quite understand Pain's train of thought, and he looked a little overwhelmed. This is just the information I got by chance. After he finished speaking, Uehara Naraku saw Orochimaru on the ground out of the corner of his eye, and suddenly added, wait, I remembered. Orochimaru mentioned just now that Obito was a hero of Konoha who died in battle. Orochimaru must know his information. Well done. Pain's eyes lit up, and he praised him approvingly. He stretched out his hand and stroked Uehara Naraku's hair and whispered, Uehara, the water country is too dangerous for you now. Leave here immediately. Then should I take Orochimaru back? Uehara Naraku nodded and looked in the direction of Orochimaru. The originally tattered Orochimaru seemed to have flattened a lot. Pain shook his head and stopped Uehara's plan in a cold voice. That guy ran away while we were talking just now. I'll go after him. Uehara Naraku flew out. Tendo Pain grabbed his clothes and said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, there is another member of Akatsuki who is also a Konoha ninja. He and Konan have also returned to the base. It's just right to check whether he is also a Konoha spy. Pain can't use too much chakra in the land of water. If he is at the Akatsuki base, Pain has nothing to fear. He only needs to control another Konoha-born rebel ninja member of their organization and get information about Obito. Mr. Itachi." Uehara Naraku showed a look of realization on his face. That guy is really a Konoha spy. If Uchiha Itachi wants to get rid of the suspicion of being a spy, will he spit out all the information about Uchiha Obito? Once Uchiha Itachi knows that the true identity of the mysterious masked man is Uchiha Obito, how will he treat this ninja who helped him kill his own people? Uehara Naraku really wants to see the two movie stars fall out. Uchiha Madara is terrifying. As for Uchiha Obito, if he hadn't died in battle and became a hero of Konoha, he would probably have become the shame of Uchiha. Thanks to Jesse_baby for the tips. Thanks to Link for the tips. Chapter 53 Uchiha Itachi is good at telling stories. I'll go back to the base first. After talking with Uehara Naraku, Pain coldly warned, "Uehara, you should also return to the Akatsuki base immediately and don't let your teacher worry." After that, Pain dismissed the summoning and turned into smoke and dissipated. Because Tendo Pain was too far away from the main body Nagato, the chakra in Tendo Pain's body was actually almost exhausted after releasing 2 techniques. If he couldn't get Nagato's chakra transmission, Tendo Pain wouldn't be of much use, and there was no point in staying here. It's better to go back as soon as possible and get information from Uchiha Itachi. Uehara Naraku didn't stay either. He summoned Pain just to let Uchiha Obito, who was hiding in the dark, recognize the facts. His identity as an actor has been stripped away. Uchiha Obito should have recognized the facts now, right? The only pity is that Orochimaru sneaked away. Since the matter was over, Uehara Naraku took Ashigaki Kisame, Hazuki Maingetsu, Haku and others to leave the land of water and set off on the road home. After everyone left, in the shadows of the forest, the figure of the mysterious masked man appeared, and he muttered to himself with some melancholy, "I miscalculated. That kid could actually summon Pain." His identity was about to be completely exposed. But the mysterious masked man had already made the worst plan. If Nagato wanted to kick him away and start collecting tailed beasts alone, it would be impossible, because only Zetsu could collect information on all the tailed beasts. This time, his identity was exposed only to affect his status and image, and it did not prevent him from continuing the Moon Eye project. The mysterious masked man did not gain nothing. He suspected that Orochimaru had discovered his identity and leaked it to Kakashi, who made Orochimaru appear in the land of water for no reason. In terms of emotion and reason, Orochimaru is the most likely candidate. Forget it, I can only give up blocking the news. The light in the mysterious masked man's eyes flashed, and a space-time vortex appeared behind him, pulling him into the vortex. The land of rain. The base of the Akatsuki organization. Pain had just returned here after removing Uehara's summoning technique, and he saw Konan with a worried look on his face. Konan, Kakuzu, and Uchiha Itachi returned to Akatsuki's base these 2 days after they recruited Hidden. Nagato, is there something wrong with your original body? No, it's Uehara. Pain shook his head and said gloomily, maybe we can find out the truth of 12 years ago. Let's control Uchiha Itachi first and never let him escape. What's going on? The man who calls himself Uchiha Madara is a ninja named Obito. He is very likely a Konoha spy who wants to use us. Pain's face was ugly, and he continued in a deep voice, Uehara discovered his true identity and is being hunted by him. I'll go save Uehara. The paper wings behind Konan spread out, and she was about to leave. Tendo Pain stopped her and explained in a low voice, don't worry, Uehara happened to meet Orochimaru. I have helped him solve it. He is protected by 3 members of the 7 ninja swordsmen. There should be no problem. Then go see Uchiha Itachi first. Flakes of origami flew around Konan's body, and he said in a cold voice, ask him for information. Since Uehara has not returned yet and Uchiha Itachi has no new teammates, he cannot go out to perform tasks, but just sits by the lake outside the base and thinks about life. A group of paper butterflies suddenly fell in front of him and gathered into a blue-haired woman standing on the lake, creating circles of ripples. Conan looked at him, frowned slightly and said, "Could the famous Itachi who exterminated his clan have any troubles?" "Senior Conan, is there something wrong?" Uchiha Itachi was a little depressed. He just wanted to sit quietly for a while and didn't want to talk to the woman in front of him. Conan didn't care about his mood. She just asked in a cold voice, "Uchiha Itachi, you are a rebel ninja of Konoha. Did you hear the name Obito when you were in Konoha?" "Obito?" Uchiha Itachi remembered a funeral he had attended a long time ago, raised his head in confusion, and added the complete name from Conan's mouth. "Uchiha Obito?" Conan frowned slightly, carefully observed Uchiha Itachi's expression, and was a little surprised to see that he did not show any abnormality. "Uchiha Itachi, don't know the identity of the masked man?" Conan continued in a deep voice. "You are all from the same clan. You should know the man named Uchiha Obito, right?" Uchiha Itachi lowered his head, just looked at the lake and answered softly, "Uchiha Obito died in the Third Ninja World War. Because his body could not be found, he was also the only hero who was not buried in the Konoha Memorial Monument." "Oh." Conan nodded with interest. "Go on." Judging from Uchiha Itachi's words alone, the probability that the mysterious masked man is Uchiha Obito is at least 80%. But judging from Uchiha Itachi's expression, he didn't seem to know the true identity of the mysterious masked man. If so, Uchiha Itachi might not be a Konoha spy. After all, he killed the entire Uchiha clan. Uchiha Itachi looked at Conan in confusion. Uchiha Obito had died a long time ago, so why did he continue to talk? What else is there to say? Should he tell the story of Obito's life? Why would a person who had died a long time ago arouse Conan's interest? Uchiha Itachi carefully observed Conan's voice and expression, and continued softly, "It is said that Uchiha Obito's grades are not very good. Perhaps it is for this reason that when Konoha ninjas graduated and were assigned, Obito was arranged to be in the same team with the most talented ninja at the time, Hatake Kakashi, and became the disciple of the fourth Hokage." A story about a loser was told by Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi heard the news from other people in his family, plus his own understanding and polishing, to create a positive growth story of a loser who eventually became a hero of Konoha. When Xiaonan listened, she couldn't help but look sideways. She didn't expect that Uchiha Itachi had a talent for storytelling. Uchiha Itachi's ninja stories were much more appealing than Jiraiya's. What the hell was Jiraiya's book The Legend of the Strong and Perseverant Ninja? It was so obscure that people couldn't finish reading it. It was really not as good as Uchiha Itachi's stories. In the end, Uchiha Obito became a hero of Konoha and was buried in a foreign country. The genius ninja Hatake Kakashi, who carried the will of his comrades, also achieved the honor of Sharingan Kakashi with a Sharingan given by his old friend. This story cannot be considered a leak of information. Many of the contents are well known, and it is a story about spreading the will of fire. After Uchiha Itachi finished telling this story, he was even moved by Obito in the story. He slowly turned his head and looked at the leisurely female ninja, and he was still a little puzzled. Wasn't his story good? Didn't the will of fire spread to Xiaonan's heart? "Are you done?" Conan frowned. If she hadn't known that the mysterious masked man was Uchiha Obito, she might have admired him. Uchiha Itachi's expression was not very good. He felt that this woman was a little hopeless. "Senior Conan, why are you interested in Uchiha Obito's affairs?" Conan didn't answer him, but spread the paper wings behind her and said coldly, "Come with me, Pin wants to see you." Request for recommendation votes. Thank you Nanana Jeshu, book friend 161,183,420,069, and Wan Wu Guantan for the rewards. Thank you Yuanji27 for the reward. Another 100 points, happy all day. Chapter 54 It's okay, Kasame is still willing to be my spy. In the cave of Akatsuki, Pin on the outer path statue looked down at Uchiha Itachi who came in, and said in a deep voice, "Uchiha Itachi, you are a member brought by Afei, you should know Afei's true identity, right?" Pain did not hide it from Uchiha Itachi, or he did not care about Uchiha Itachi's thoughts, because in the face of real strength, there is no need to play any tricks. Uchiha Itachi's expression did not change, but his heart had already turned into a huge wave. Combined with the conversation with Conan just now, he had guessed what Pain was going to say. The mysterious masked man has always claimed to be Uchiha Madara, but Pain and Conan now seem to have found some evidence, and found out that the masked man is Uchiha Obito. He deceived me, and claimed to be Uchiha Madara. Pain looked at Uchiha Itachi, and continued in a deep voice. In fact, his real identity is Uchiha Obito, a spy sent by Shimura Danzo of Konoha. Uchiha Itachi fell into silence after hearing this. All the past experiences appeared in front of Uchiha Itachi, and he began to reverse analyze the true identity of Uchiha Obito, based on what Pain said. When he first met the mysterious masked man, the masked man killed his teammates, and induced him to open the Sharingan. Later, when Uchiha Itachi grew up, the masked man was willing to cooperate with him to kill the entire Uchiha clan and guide him to join Akatsuki. The mysterious masked man knew that he was a spy of the third Hokage, but he still told him his plan and was willing to continue to cooperate with him. No matter how Uchiha Itachi saw the mysterious masked man's actions, he could see a strong dark style, which was exactly like the handwriting of Shimura Danzo. In addition to Shimura Danzo, who else would want to destroy the Uchiha clan? After Uchiha Itachi finished the reverse analysis, he couldn't help but panic. If they can really confirm that the mysterious masked man is not Uchiha Madara, and is indeed Uchiha Obito, then he is almost 100% Danzo's subordinate. Because Uchiha Obito has a good reputation in Konoha, and he has no other relatives except a grandmother, so his presence is not particularly high. Obito can't do so many dark things in a subjective sense, he can only be controlled by Danzo. This is also reasonable. There are not many ninjas from the Uchiha clan who enter the Anbu. Uchiha Shizu and Uchiha Itachi were assigned to Danzo's subordinates. It's normal for Danzo to have a ninja named Uchiha Obito. Uchiha Itachi frowned slightly. He didn't expect that every step he took now was arranged by Shimura Danzo. Danzo is really haunting. Uchiha Obito is Danzo's spy. A yin-yang escape stick floated out of Pain's hand, and he stared at the young man below. Uchiha Itachi, what is your true identity? You killed all the Uchiha clan members in Konoha, so you are not also a spy, right? Uchiha Itachi looked up at Pain, shook his head gently and said, I just want to find a place to stay. He claimed to be Uchiha Madara and deceived me. Now that I know that he is a spy sent by Konoha to monitor me, I will kill him next time. Uchiha Itachi did not tell the truth, that he and Uchiha Obito cooperated to destroy the Uchiha clan. Once he said it, it might clear Obito's suspicion, and it might even drag himself into the water. Now Uchiha Itachi does not want to be used by Danzo, nor does he want to be in danger. As for Uchiha Obito, when they meet again next time, Uchiha Itachi will definitely find a way to deal with him. He can't stand Danzo still monitoring him. Very good. Pain nodded, looked at Xiaonan next to him and said, Xiaonan, the next step is to find out the true identity of Zetsu from his mouth. If there is any problem, kill him immediately. Zetsu is an intelligence officer of Akatsuki. Because Zetsu has been providing Akatsuki with a lot of information, Pain doesn't want to kill Zetsu directly. Instead, he wants to try to find out the identity of Zetsu and find out whether he is a spy or someone deceived by Uchiha Obito. When Zetsu got the news, both Black Zetsu and White Zetsu were half confused. They couldn't figure out how Obito's identity was discovered. And why did they say Obito was Danzo's spy? Who asked Uchiha Obito to contact Yahiko first, but Yahiko just rejected them, and then Yahiko was killed by Shimura Danzo and Salamander Hanzo. Whether it is from the time or the motivation, it is indeed very reasonable. After Xiaonan and Pain's simple reasoning, if Zetsu didn't know the truth clearly, they might have believed it. White Zetsu was feeling a little melancholy, although it's just Nagato and Conan's guess. It sounds like there is solid evidence. If we defend ourselves, it will only arouse Nagato's suspicion. Yeah. Black Zetsu was in a good mood, and was still thinking about ways to remedy the situation. In short, stabilize Nagato and Conan, and ensure that they won't doubt the plan to collect the tailed beasts. Then shall we go see Obito to discuss countermeasures? White Zetsu whispered. Just now Obito returned to our secret base and asked a White Zetsu clone to help him retransplant a 3 Megatama Sharingan. What's going on? Black Zetsu asked in some confusion. Did he use Izanagi? There is actually someone who can force Obito, who possesses the space-time Mangekyo Sharingan, to use Izanagi. It was Uehara Naraku. Half of White Zetsu's face was puzzled. Obito's explanation was that he was too careless and was ambushed by Uehara Naraku with a detonating tag, so he had to use Izanagi to escape, and he is very anxious to see us now. Black Zetsu was in a bad mood too. Didn't Uchiha Obito say he was going to control Uehara Naraku? But he failed miserably at the hands of that 12-year-old kid. Sure enough, except for Uchiha Madara, the other Uchiha were trash. Zetsu's secret base. This place was once the hiding place of Uchiha Madara in his later years, and there were several White Zetsu guarding it. Uchiha Obito transplanted a 3 Megatama Sharingan with the help of a White Zetsu clone, and he had taken off the mask on his face. From today on, he didn't need to use Madara's identity to deceive people. Zetsu's figure emerged from the ground. Black Zetsu looked at him sinisterly and said, Obito, because you refused to listen to our advice at the beginning, Nagato has now determined that you are a spy sent by Danzo. White Zetsu reproached softly, and this matter has implicated us as well. In order to make Nagato trust us again, we have to take the trouble to help him collect information on Salamander Hanzo. Is there no way to save it? Uchiha Obito frowned. This news was a bit bad for him. It was a bit disadvantageous for him not to be able to control Akatsuki's actions in real time. At least there is no way now. Black Zetsu shook his head and said in a deep voice, now Nagato has identified your identity. We can only wait until his anger dissipates in the future, and then slowly clear your suspicion. White Zetsu softly put forward his own suggestions. We must find a way to plant new people in Akatsuki as soon as possible to prevent Akatsuki's actions from getting out of control, and monitor Uchiha Itachi, who has just joined Akatsuki not long ago. That's no problem. Uchiha Obito's brows relaxed and he smiled. While that kid Uehara was not paying attention, I secretly communicated with Kasame. He still believes in the Moon Eye plan and will continue to act as my spy in Akatsuki to help me monitor Uchiha Itachi. Thank you for the reward from Let's Eat Together, baby. No, eat by myself. Thank you for the reward from book friend 20180416105101158. Thank you for the reward from Wanwu Guantang and Rita Xiangxin. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55. After fighting for so long, let's just enjoy it. Wait, Uehara Naraku is still alive. Black Zetsu looked at Uchiha Obito with some incomprehension on his face. What's wrong with this guy? He couldn't even deal with a 12-year-old kid. Uchiha Obito shook his head and said, that kid Uehara can summon the spirit of Tendo pain. I can't face pain head on. What I'm going to say next is the most troublesome thing. Uchiha Obito's face became extremely serious. He looked at Zetsu and the surrounding White Zetsu clones coldly, and they looked confused and puzzled. Someone leaked my information to Hatake Kakashi. Uchiha Obito dropped a bomb as soon as he opened his mouth. He expressed his suspicion. I guess these things were leaked by Orochimaru, because he happened to appear in the land of water with Kakashi. White Zetsu immediately grasped a key point. Hatake Kakashi. Black Zetsu also grasped another key point. Orochimaru? That's right. Uchiha Obito nodded seriously and said, after all, Kakashi has never shown any abnormality. Maybe Orochimaru found some clues from some channels and told Kakashi my information. If it weren't for Kakashi suddenly exposing my identity, I wouldn't have hurriedly wanted to kill Uehara Naraku to silence him, but was suddenly plotted against by that brat. The brat Uehara summoned Pain again and told Pain about this. Unfortunately, before I had time to prepare to communicate with Nagato, Nagato identified me as a spy for Danzo. When he said this, Uchiha Obito even punched his side in hatred. He still couldn't figure out how things turned out like this. Everything was going in a good direction, and he was still working hard to bring in help for Akatsuki, but he was kicked out of Akatsuki. It was just quite sudden. If you think about it from another perspective, maybe this is not a bad thing. Uchiha Obito at least knows that someone has secretly monitored his intelligence, which is much better than being discovered after collecting the tailed beasts in the future. Orochimaru didn't know that he was being blamed. It was also the first time that Orochimaru knew the true identity of the mysterious masked man. He had already made up his mind that this information could be used for trading. As for the trading object, it was naturally his close partner in Konoha village, in the root base, because Shimura Danzo's methods in dealing with the Uchiha clan were too rough and cruel. The root under his command was abolished by Sarutobi Hiruzen, and he himself was also put in solitary confinement. Even if Shimura Danzo was dissatisfied, he could do nothing about Sarutobi Hiruzen's resolute disposal, so the old man could only hide here quietly, secretly contacting his old subordinates to collect intelligence, and by the way, cultivating those young ninjas he had hidden. Shin, be serious. Torone, you did a good job. Say, you just graduated this year. I will find a way to arrange for you to take part in the Chunin exam next year. You have to work harder. Shimura Danzo looked at the group of young ninjas below and judged their training one by one, as if he was really a teacher who was seriously training his juniors. However, these young ninjas did not dare to look at him at all. Whenever Danzo's eyes fell on them, each of them would shrink unconsciously. These young people were deeply afraid of the old man in front of them. A small white snake suddenly emerged from a pipe, spitting out the snake core, and crawled to Shimura Danzo's side, opening its mouth. You go down first. After seeing the little snake, Shimura Danzo's face turned serious, and he waved his hand to repel the group of young people. Then he took a scroll from the mouth of the little white snake. This little white snake is Orochimaru's communication tool. Danzo Shimura has been in contact with Orochimaru since he defected. He thought that Orochimaru would make unreasonable demands on him again, but he didn't expect that Orochimaru only sent him a piece of information. Uchiha Obito is still alive. Danzo Shimura's eyes suddenly tightened, staring at the information scroll given to him by Orochimaru, which contained information about the mysterious masked man. Danzo Shimura didn't know that, because of the mysterious masked man, he was blamed in the eyes of Pain and Uchiha Itachi. Now Danzo just wants to use this information to manipulate it and regain his lost power from Sarutobi Hiruzen. Hiruzen, the teacher is right. Shimura Danzo slowly closed the scroll in his hand, threw it into the brazier beside him, and continued to whisper, the Uchiha clan are all born evil. Even the disciples of the fourth Hokage will fall. Although he got the information about Uchiha Obito, Shimura Danzo also needed to wait for an opportunity for Hatake Kakashi to return to the village before confronting Sarutobi Hiruzen. This opportunity is not difficult. On the other side, Uehara Naraku observed his system panel and fell into deep thought. Main task, realize the wish of the bookstall owner and become the biggest boss in the ninja world. Progress 3%. Task completed. Uehara led his team to leave the land of water and return to the land of rain. The progress of the main task began to move forward inexplicably until it suddenly stopped when it jumped to 3%. According to Uehara's judgment, this progress may be related to his exposure of the identity of the mysterious masked man. More and more people know the true identity of the mysterious masked man, but ignore him as the real mastermind. Because there is a side quest that is quite peculiar. Side quest, reveal the true identity of the mysterious masked man in public. The quest has been completed, and the reward skill is distorted space. Perhaps it is, because when Uehara Naraku first revealed Obito's identity, he used the natural illusion transformation, not his true face to reveal Obito's identity, or it may be, because Hatake Kakashi didn't quite believe it at that time. Now some people believe it. As for this reward skill, it makes Uehara feel a little frustrated. Distorted space, after a delay of 0.5 seconds, a distorted space that can last for 3 seconds can be released in the target area. The area will be isolated from the outside world. People who try to cross the space barrier will be stopped and dizzy by the space barrier and can only escape through space-time ninjutsu. The duration of the distorted space, the area of the area and the chakra consumption coefficient are related. The cooling time is 15 seconds, and the minimum chakra consumption is 100 points. What is the use of this skill? It is not as powerful as the puppet command shockwave. Unless the space barrier happens to control Uchiha Obito, it is impossible to punish his Kamui technique, and even the flying thunder god technique can be easily escaped. What is this skill used for? Is it used as a space cage? It seems not bad. Although the distorted space belongs to the space technique, it is actually not aimed at the time and space ninjas. It is simply invincible to use it against regular ninjas. In the entire ninja world, except for Uchiha Obito, the 4th Hokage, and Kaguya Otsutsuki who are good at time and space techniques, any other ninja will basically be imprisoned in the distorted space. It's a bit like the 4 Edyang formation and the 4 purple flame formation. It's just that the strength of the space barrier is far greater than these barriers. The voice of Hoshigaki Kisame interrupted Uehara's thoughts. Lord Uehara, we are close to the coast of the land of hot water. Oh. Uehara Naraku raised his head and looked at their ship entering the harbor of the most peaceful country in the ninja world, and whispered, after fighting for so many days, let's enjoy it here. Thanks to Iwadagst for the reward. Thanks to Metaverse 27 for the tip. Another 100 points, a happy day. Thanks to the African chief for the tip. Chapter 56, Encountering a fat sheep on the return trip. Since Uehara Naraku was going to take 5 people with him on the return journey this time, it was naturally impossible to borrow the road from the land of fire to avoid any trouble, so they chose a relatively safe route. After leaving the port, Uehara Naraku turned around and looked at everyone present and assigned them tasks. Mainjetsu Hazuki, go to the hot spring village to book a hot spring hotel. Mr. Zabuza, you take Kaguya Kimimaro and Haku to continue ninja training, or go out to relax. Mainjetsu Hazuki and Zabuza Momochi were confused. The two of them, one is a genius ninja, who became a genius butler in Uehara Naraku's mouth. The other is a murderous Miss Ninja, who was regarded as an enlightenment teacher and nanny by Uehara. Kaguya Kunmaro and Shiro couldn't help but turn their heads to look at Uehara, and whispered, Uehara-kun, aren't you going with us? Uehara Naraku shook his head and whispered, well, Kisame and I will practice the seals, and we will meet in the hot spring village in the afternoon, the most lively place. Hot Spring Village is the most famous tourist destination in the ninja world. Hot Spring Village is famous for their unique hot springs. It is the most comfortable place in the ninja world and the most suitable place for enjoyment. Even the ninja world wore rarely affects here. Uehara and his party took a boat across the sea all the way, and they can just rest here for a day. After everyone else left, Uehara Naraku and Hoshigaki Kisame had a private space and began to discuss their plan. What Uehara Naraku was most concerned about was undoubtedly the last private meeting between Hoshigaki Kisame and Uchiha Obito before he left the land of water. How was it? Did you get Obito's trust? Ha, almost. Hoshigaki Kisame grinned and chuckled. I told him that, as long as his Moonai plan will continue to be implemented, after I become Uchiha Itachi's teammate, I will continue to help monitor Uchiha Itachi and pass on Uchiha Itachi's information to him. Before they collectively left the land of water, Uchiha Obito secretly communicated with Hoshigaki Kisame, and Kisame's performance won him Obito's trust again. In other words, Uchiha Obito has always believed in Kisame. Hoshigaki Kisame originally specially prepared a lot of information about Uehara, but Uchiha Obito didn't ask about these trivial matters. After all, in the past few years, Hoshigaki Kisame has been serving Obito, who is behind the scenes controlling the 4th Mizukage, and the relationship between them is extraordinary. And Hoshigaki Kisame's character is also trustworthy. As long as Hoshigaki Kisame trusts someone, he will be 100% loyal, including his own life. It seems that the plan is going well. Uehara Naraku didn't know that due to the deterioration of the situation, Hoshigaki Kisame's status in Uchiha Obito's heart rose sharply, and soon Kisame would become an important source of intelligence. Uehara Naraku simply comforted his subordinates. After you and Uchiha Itachi become partners, you can enjoy a leisurely life. Hoshigaki Kisame smiled heartily and nodded slightly. It sounds like the character of the Sharingan Itachi is not bad. I believe you can get along well with Uchiha Itachi. Uehara Naraku was quite confident about this. He turned to look at Kisame and said, "By the way, how many sets of hand seals did you prepare for me?" 13 sets. Hoshigaki Kisame took out a scroll and handed it to Uehara with a chuckle. The hand seals in it are half real and half fake. Most of them are hand seals related to water escape and earth escape. "Thank you." Uehara Naraku shook the scroll and put it into his ninja tool bag with satisfaction. Uehara certainly didn't need to make hand seals to release skills. He wanted to practice hand seals mainly for fun and to confuse his opponents and relax the enemy's vigilance. In the future, he will also be a serious ninja who can make hand seals. While practicing hand seals, Uehara Naraku talked about Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi is a very easy person to get along with. As long as you don't violate his bottom line, he will unconditionally tolerate anything you do. Bottom line. His younger brother Uchiha Sasuke. Because the two of them had signed a contract, Uehara Naraku also trusted Hoshigaki Kisame and told him all the information about Uchiha Itachi. As long as you don't hurt his younger brother, Uchiha Itachi is a ninja who can be easily used. Another person who treats his elder brother like a father? Hoshigaki Kisame couldn't help but chuckle when he heard this. The weakness of the genocidal Itachi and main Jetsuki Zuki is exactly the same. Uehara Naraku sighed faintly and said, "Itachi is the fault of this world. The love of the elder brother for the younger brother is always a little morbid. Who made the person who created this world also have a brother control?" Hot Spring Village. After Uehara Naraku and Hoshigaki Kisame stepped into this ninja village, they followed the agreement to find the most lively place here and take a look at the customs of Hot Spring Village. The busiest place in Ninja Village today is actually a gambling house. Why is it a gambling house? When Uehara Naraku got the news, his expression was a little subtle. It can't be such a coincidence. I always feel that, if we go there, we will meet an extraordinary person. Does Lord Uehara think it is an extraordinary person? Hoshigaki Kisame's face suddenly showed some curiosity, and his smile became even deeper. If it is not particularly dangerous, shouldn't we go to see that big man? Uehara Naraku nodded inexplicably. What you said makes sense. The danger of that big man is indeed lower. If in this ninja world, once gambling is mentioned, a woman will inevitably be mentioned. A woman who is famous in the ninja world. Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha and the strongest female ninja. Almost no ninja in the ninja world is willing to take the initiative to hurt her. Tsunade was born in the most distinguished Senju clan of Konoha. She was the first to advocate that medical ninjas should be a must-have member of regular ninja teams. Because she is proficient in all medical ninjutsu in the ninja world, she is also respected by countless ninjas. The ninjas all thought that Tsunade was the most powerful medical ninja in the ninja world. However, it must be mentioned that they all knew that Tsunade herself was also very powerful. The reputation of the 3 ninjas of Konoha is not just based on curing diseases and saving lives. In the entire ninja world, except for the leaders of the major ninja villages, other ninjas are not good enough in front of Tsunade. Whether it is appearance, family background, strength and reputation, Tsunade can be said to be excellent without any blind spots, but she has a well-known shortcoming. She is addicted to gambling. Unfortunately, her luck has never been very good. Since Tsunade left Konoha and began to travel in the ninja world, a strange name has also begun to spread in the ninja world. The legendary fat sheep. Is the legendary fat sheep here? It has already started. She has lost 200,000 taels. The big fat sheep's moves are indeed extraordinary. She is also very big. The gambling house is unusually lively today. Gamblers from the entire Tang Ninja village have gathered here, and there are also some men who try to fish in troubled waters and want to take the opportunity to make a little money. Uehara Naraku picked his ears, subconsciously ignoring those strange words, looking at the people around the gambling house, looking for his subordinates. Uehara, a crisp voice called him. Kaguya Kimimaro squeezed through the crowd, walked to Uehara Naraku's side, and explained softly, "Mr. Main Jetsuki Zuki and Mr. Zabuza are already in the Hot Spring Hotel. They said it's too dangerous here, so they sent me here to wait for you." Lord Uehara, it's really dangerous here. Hoshigaki Kisame blinked his little eyes. He was tall enough to see the scene in the gambling house, and naturally he could see the blonde female ninja sitting in the middle of the gambling table. As a ninja, how could he not know the 3 ninjas of Konoha? Uehara Naraku looked at the exposed white body of the blonde female ninja and sighed. But this is interesting, isn't it? Please recommend. Chapter 57 Destiny. You go first. Uehara Naraku waved at her Shigeki Kisame and Kaguya Kimimaro and suddenly said, wait, leave me some money. Mr. Uehara is not yet an adult, right? Her Shigeki Kisame's eyes were a little subtle. Just when he wanted to say something else, he saw Uehara's urging look and could only throw a seal scroll to Uehara Naraku. What kind of boss is this? He even asks employees for money. Uehara Naraku took the scroll and couldn't help but take a look at the blonde female ninja on the gambling table and her domineering figure. As a miner in the current ninja world, Uehara didn't think about those messy things. He just wanted to complete 2 relatively simple side quests. Side quest, beat Tsunade at the gambling table, 0/1, the reward is unknown. Side quest, lose to Tsunade at the gambling table, 0/1, the reward is unknown. Such 2 simple tasks, no matter what, you can always complete one, right? Although the tasks are relatively simple, the rewards may not be generous. Just when Uehara wanted to enter the gambling house, 2 big men who were guarding the door pushed him out, cursing, little brat, you haven't even grown all your hair yet, and you come here to learn to be a prodigal son? Get out of here. The customs and order of the ninja world are a bit strange. People here will ignore the fact that underage ninjas go to the battlefield to kill people, set fires, and throw detonating talismans, but they absolutely prohibit underage ninjas from entering gambling houses, taverns, and places of custom. Even the bookstore owner will take the initiative to refuse to sell bad books to underage ninjas. Maybe this is the last moral integrity of the ninja world. Of course, this is just the attitude of ordinary people in the ninja world. There are always some exceptions among so many people in the ninja world, such as the blonde female ninja Tsunade sitting at the gambling table. Tsunade learned gambling from the words and deeds of the ninja god Senju Hashirama since she was a child, and eventually she lost everything and was in debt. In the evening, Tsunade lost all the money she had on her and staggered out of the gambling house with her disciple Shizune, intending to find a place to have a drink. Shizune was holding a pink pig, frowning and blaming her. Tsunade-sama, you lost too much today. Shizune, I know you must have hidden your living expenses. Tsunade waved her hand and was about to say something else, but she noticed a card flying at her from the corner of her eye, and her upper body suddenly leaned back to avoid it. Tsunade stood up straight and looked at the card that suddenly appeared on the wall. This card that flew out inexplicably cut off one of her hair and was deeply embedded in the wall beside her. Who is it? Tsunade turned her head suddenly and looked in the direction where the card flew from, but she only saw a boy playing with a card in the corner. The cards in Uehara Naraku's hand danced nimbly at his fingertips. He slowly raised his head and looked at Tsunade, revealing a pure smile. Hey, do you want to play? The legendary fat sheep. Tsunade's face suddenly became furious, and the veins on her forehead bulged. She squeezed her fists hard, gritted her teeth and said, where did you come from, little brat, and dare to speak so shamelessly in front of me? Shizune, give me some money. Losing an entire afternoon would be fine, but now even a teenage brat dared to mock her. This brat is looking for death. The 3 ninjas of Konoha have never had any moral integrity. Bullying children is commonplace. Jiraiya secretly spends all the money Naruto has saved, and Orochimaru openly wants to seize Sasuke's body. Tsunade and Uehara Naraku's gambling game is simply child's play. An hour later, in a hotel room, Tsunade wiped the corner of her mouth refreshed and looked at Uehara Naraku with a look of unsatisfied expression on her face. Your skills are not bad, kid, but there is still a lot of room for improvement. Uehara Naraku looked at Tsunade with a look of satisfaction, and then looked at Shizune with a smile, feeling that something was wrong with this world. Tsunade proudly grabbed the dice cup, and looked at the boy across the gambling table provocatively. Kid, do you want to continue playing? After that, Tsunade smiled brightly and continued, I can allow you to owe debts. Shizune, help him prepare a few IOUs. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Shizune did not refute, smiled and put away the last stack of money in front of Uehara, turned around and was about to look for paper and pen in the room. Uehara Naraku woke up, shook his head quickly, and waved his hands at Tsunade. No need. Enough for today. After that, Uehara hurriedly put on his shoes and was about to leave. Because in the gambling game just now, Uehara lost to Tsunade for an hour in a row and lost all the money that her Shigekiko-san gave him. Uehara has begun to doubt his life because of the loss. Could it be that Tsunade's luck is not as bad as the legend says, or Uehara's own luck is actually worse? Wait. Just as Uehara was about to leave, Tsunade pinched a banknote between her fingers and threw it in front of Uehara. The banknote was stuck on the wooden door in front of Uehara. Uehara Naraku looked at Tsunade at the table in confusion. Tsunade picked up the teacup on the table, took a sip of tea, and said slowly, "Kit, you are an outsider ninja, right? You have lost all the money for the hotel tonight to me, right? Take it, it's a gift to you. That little money can at least allow you to choose the worst hotel in the hot spring village to stay for one night." Uehara Naraku blushed. Is this woman pitying him or humiliating him? Did Tsunade get a little carried away? Just because she won a little bit of money from him, she forgot her identity as the biggest debtor in the ninja world? TSK, I won more than 3 million taels tonight. Tsunade kissed the money on the table happily and couldn't help laughing and said, I won back all the money I lost in a few days in just 1 hour. Uehara Naraku gritted his teeth when he heard it. A mere 3 million taels, only 1/10 of the bounty on Asuma's head. She was so proud of winning just this little money. Didn't she think about whether this little money was enough for her to pay off her debts? And Uehara Naraku was just a little depressed. After all, losing to Tsunade in a gambling game was extremely embarrassing to tell others. Little boy, welcome to play with me again in the future. Tsunade winked at Uehara Naraku and blew him a kiss. Remember to prepare enough money. Ha 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 ha. I lost so much in the afternoon, but I didn't expect to win it all back in the evening. Is today my lucky day? Idiot woman. Uehara Naraku covered his forehead, took off the banknote, and after pushing open the door, the gloom on his face gradually faded. Today is obviously my lucky day. Although he lost a lot of money, he also got something more precious. Side quest, lose to Tsunade at the gambling table, 1/1. The quest is completed, and the reward skill Destiny. Destiny can spy on the location of everyone within a radius of 100 kilometers, including ninjas using hidden ninjutsu, transformation jutsu and clone jutsu, for 6 seconds. After activating the Destiny skill, you can use the power of time and space to teleport to anyone within a radius of 50 kilometers after 1.5 seconds. The range of the Destiny skill is related to the chakra coefficient used, with a minimum consumption of 100 chakra points and a cooldown of 150 seconds. If you calculate it this way, as long as Uehara has enough chakra, the Destiny skill can spy on the entire ninja world. This skill can be regarded as the strongest escape skill that Uehara has obtained, and it can also be used to chase and kill the enemy. No matter who it is, they can't escape from his palm. Uehara Naraku smiled slightly, and the gloomy dissatisfaction of losing to Tsunade suddenly dissipated a lot. He turned his head and looked at the hotel he left. Tsunade's laughter and joy continued to pass from the window into the night sky. Uehara thought of Tsunade's bright and moving smile again. This woman has never been as happy as today, right? TSK, if it weren't for the mission, who would be willing to gamble with that woman? Ask for recommendation tickets, rewards, and everything. Thank you for Von Sklovsky's reward. Everyone pay attention to the big brother on the list. Thank you for the reward from Unbook Friend 20200724104610430. I was dizzy. Thank you for the reward from QIU. Thank you. Why does the reward amount feel so strange? Thanks to Metaverse27 for the reward. 100 points a day, happy every day. Chapter 58. The omnipotent Lord Uehara is a big fat sheep. Hey, Kit. Tsunade suddenly opened the window, looked at Uehara Naraku outside the inn and asked loudly, I almost forgot to ask, which village are you from? What's your name? Uehara Naraku's face turned ugly again. Does this woman want to catch him and take advantage of him? Tsunade leaned over the window. Her chest was squeezed and deformed. She smiled with interest. I'm just a wandering ninja. I won't hinder you from performing your mission. Uehara Naraku finally raised his head, looked at Tsunade and whispered, Tsunade, one of the legendary 3 ninjas, is also a wandering ninja. Then the 3rd generation of Konoha Hokage is a bit blind, isn't it? Tsunade was not angry at all, but nodded in agreement. Yes, the old man is old. Not only his eyesight is not good, but his brain is not good either. Tsunade has never had much respect for the third generation Hokage. If the third generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was right in front of Tsunade, she could say a few more unpleasant words. So, Konoha will have a new Hokage soon. Uehara Naraku looked up at Tsunade and smiled mysteriously. Why don't we make a bet? I'm optimistic that Tsunade Senpai will become the next Hokage of Konoha. Heh. Tsunade exhaled a breath of hot air, looked down at Uehara Naraku and chuckled. Little boy, at least you have to guess a reliable candidate. How can I be interested in something like Hokage? And do you have money? Uehara Naraku's confident smile froze on his face. Sure enough, he couldn't speak with a straight face without money. Losing to you is a choice of fate. Uehara sighed, looked up at Tsunade with a cheerful face and said, forget it, when fate comes, no one can resist its will. Of course, except Uehara himself who controls his fate. After saying this, Uehara Naraku hurriedly waved goodbye to Tsunade, and his figure disappeared into the night. Tsunade's face by the window became depressed. She just looked at the dark night outside the window, and her body slid to the ground little by little. Destiny? Tears welled up in the corners of Tsunade's eyes. She covered her chest tightly. Her face was a little depressed and sad. Shizune, pack up your things. We will leave here tomorrow. Hey, Lady Tsunade? Shizune came over in surprise. Seeing Tsunade slumped on the ground, she stepped forward to help her up. Lady Tsunade, is there anything wrong? No. Tsunade stretched out her palm, stroked Shizune's cheek, and whispered, I'm worried that something bad will happen. Go pack up your things. After learning to gamble, since she was a child, Tsunade has always lost every time she gambled. Even when facing a gambler like Senju Hashirama, her luck was shockingly bad. She would occasionally win once. Every time she won, something bad would happen. However, in the gambling game just now, Tsunade almost won consecutive games, winning Uehara Naraku's doubtful life. Who knows what will happen if she continues to stay in the hot spring village. Uehara didn't know that his words successfully wiped out Tsunade's good mood. He only knew that fate was a very magical skill. When he opened the destiny, a number of figures turned into small faces and appeared in his brain. The positions of all people within a radius of 100 kilometers were under his control. Uehara quickly found the positions of Hashigaki Kisame, Hazuki Maingetsu and others, and cards appeared under his feet. The teleportation function of destiny is activated. The most luxurious hot spring hotel in Yunnan village. Hashigaki Kisame sat upstairs in the hotel repairing some mehida, and from time to time he looked down at his companions in the hot spring bath. Suddenly, he heard a sound of cutting cards. Hashigaki Kisame grabbed some mehida and turned his head just in time to see a scene that almost made his little eyes fall out of his head. Cards appeared out of thin air on the floor of the room, and each card overlapped alternately to form a circular area of about half a meter. The next second, Uehara Naraku appeared on the card. This is the teleportation function attached to Uehara's new skill Destiny. As long as Hashigaki Kisame is within the coverage of Destiny, he can teleport directly. Hashigaki Kisame was relieved immediately, with a little more curiosity on his face. He chuckled and asked, Lord Uehara, is this a space-time technique? Yes. Uehara Naraku did not deny it, and handed Hashigaki Kisame a banknote. It was Tsunade who gave it to him out of pity. This is the money left over from the money you gave me. Only 500 taels? Hashigaki Kisame's face was extremely wonderful. Even if Kisame had not deliberately calculated the commission for completing the task, he had a rough figure, but it was a full several million taels of money. Hashigaki Kisame couldn't help but ask, did Lord Uehara lose millions of taels today? It sounds more like the legendary fat sheep. Shut up. Hearing the title that belonged to Tsunade, Uehara Naraku's face darkened, and his mood became a little gloomy. He asked in a muffled voice, which room is mine? The biggest one next door. Hashigaki Kisame quickly skipped the topic of his money going down the drain, and chuckled and said, Lord Uehara, don't you want to stay in the hot spring for a while? This is the most luxurious hot spring hotel in Uninja village. Ordinary Jonins are reluctant to spend money here easily. No, I'm not in a good mood. Uehara Naraku's body sank into the wall like diving. When the surprise on Kisame's face faded, Uehara had already used the mayfly technique to pass through the thick wall and arrived at his resting room. The magic of fate transmission and the mayfly technique simply overturned Hoshigaki Kisame's understanding of ninjutsu and added a bit of awe in his heart. However, Hoshigaki Kisame thought of Uehara Naraku's depressed expression and the millions of taels he had lost, and could not help but laugh and said to himself, it seems that our new boss is not so perfect. Hoshigaki Kisame was not angry because Uehara Naraku lost all his money. Instead, he felt that Uehara had a bit more breath of life, unlike the mysterious feeling that made people feel intimidated and kept strangers away when they were together before. A wave of spray splashed into the room. Hoshigaki Maingetsu looked at Hoshigaki Kisame, who was smiling, and asked in confusion, I just heard someone talking. Is the master back? Yeah, he just went to rest. Hoshigaki Maingetsu couldn't help but frowned. His face looked a little bad. The master went to rest so early. Are you not satisfied with the hotel I booked? No, I'm just in a bad mood. Hoshigaki Kisame spread his hands, looked at Hoshigaki Maingetsu and chuckled. After all, no matter who it is, losing millions of taels in a day, the mood will not be very good, right? Hoshigaki Maingetsu. Finally, Hoshigaki Kisame and Hoshigaki Maingetsu looked at each other, each suppressing their laughter and showing an unfathomable smile. Damn, I still want to laugh. I thought everything in the ninja world was under the control of Uehara. I didn't expect that Uehara himself was still a walking fat sheep. Thanks to the reward from the master brother who was captured by the monster. Chapter 59. She is provoking me. Uehara Naraku tossed and turned all night, losing several million taels in one night. No one could sleep. He just wanted to complete 2 side quests, but he lost all his money and lost face. What was even more embarrassing was that the person he lost money to was Tsunade. If this matter was spread out, it would ruin his image. In the future, he would become the first behind the scenes boss in the ninja world. When Tsunade knew about it, she would say, isn't that Uehara Naraku the guy who lost millions to me at the gambling table? Is he still in good shape? Forget it, no one is perfect. Senju Hashirama is still a moron. Uchiha Madara has prostatitis. This little thing is not a big deal. And Tsunade has a few weird side quests. The rewards for the quests are not low, and she looks a little bit feminine. In the middle of the night, Uehara Naraku muttered a few words in a daze, and inexplicably dreamed of Konan in a red cloud and black robe. In his dream, Konan's face was no longer gentle as before, but cold, and she scolded him with a dark face. Naraku, have you learned how to gamble? Behind Konan stood Pin, who was fanning the flames. Teacher Jiraiya taught us that we must never stay with people who gamble. And this kid named Uehara is gambling with Tsunade. He is either seduced by Tsunade's beauty or wants to cheat Tsunade's money. Aren't you curious why Tsunade is so beautiful but still single? It's because she is a gambler. The one who spoke was the tall man standing behind Pin. Uehara couldn't see his face clearly and could only judge from his voice and outline that it should be Jiraiya. The end of this dream was that the God's Paper Technique, Chibaku Tensei and Senjutsu Gomen attacked Uehara collectively. In the end, the great devil Uehara defeated the righteous combination of Konan, Pin and Jiraiya with the support of Tsunade. It's really a dream. It was still a messy dream, a mixture of nightmares, sweet dreams and erotic dreams. It was early morning. Uehara Naraku got up from the bed, wiped his mouth with regret, and wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. Lord Uehara. Someone knocked on the door, and the voice of Hoshigaki Kisame came from outside the door. Should we continue on our journey today, or stay in the hot spring village for another day? I have prepared another 5 million ryo for you. Speed up today. Uehara Naraku suddenly opened the door, and looked at Hoshigaki Kisame with an unhappy face. No one else knows that I lost to Tsunade yesterday? Everyone who should know knows it. Hoshigaki Kisame tilted his head, and a row of his own people stood next to him, including Maingetsu Hazuki, Zabuza Momochi and Kaguya Kimimaro. Bei covered his mouth in astonishment. Uehara Naraku clenched his fists, and looked at everyone present. What happened in the Yugun village must not be known to others, especially my teacher, understand? Yes. Hoshigaki Kisame smiled and nodded, and the others also responded, not understanding what was wrong with Uehara. Of course, Uehara Naraku couldn't tell them. He had to act as a perfect disciple in front of teacher Conan, and there couldn't be any stain on him that would displease Conan, so that he could become a formal member of Akatsuki. The entrance of Yugun village. Uehara Naraku and his team just walked over and happened to meet Tsunade, Shizune and their pet pink pigs who were also leaving the Yugun village. Tsunade's eyes narrowed slightly, looking at the group of strange-looking people behind Uehara, and suddenly smiled. "Good morning, kid. Are you leaving the Yugun village too?" Uehara Naraku glanced at Tsunade's somewhat cool clothes, turned around and passed by Tsunade, ignoring the blonde female ninja. The others followed behind Uehara, passing by Tsunade trembling with fear. "Hey, brat." Tsunade wanted to call Uehara with some displeasure, but when she saw that he didn't react, she chuckled and said, "You were as obedient as a cat when you were with me last night. How come you turned your face against me after a night?" "Lady Tsunade." Shizune waved her hand with a red face, trying to stop Tsunade's fierce words. "Don't say such misleading words. That little guy is still a minor." Okay. Tsunade patted Shizune's shoulder and pushed her aside, but her eyes were slightly solemn. "If I saw it correctly just now, among the people following that brat, some of them are from the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist village?" Huh. Shizune was a little puzzled. Tsunade patted her head and smiled confidently. "The identity of that kid seems to be not simple. Maybe we can win some money from him and use it as travel expenses. What if we lose? That kid is just a rookie at first glance." "How could I lose?" "Don't say such things. And it's too dangerous." "Didn't Lady Tsunade say that he was followed by the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist village? What if they turn against each other?" "Don't worry, I'm absolutely sure." Since Tsunade came into contact with gambling, except for winning against Hashirama Senju once, she has never met someone who can make her win money. How can she bear to let him go easily? Anyway, she has to leave the hot spring village today, and it would be a waste if she doesn't win. And Tsunade didn't tell Shizune one more thing. She could feel that the kid who gambled with her was very interesting, not like a normal gambler at all. That feeling is very similar to her own style. The little guy actually wants to win in his heart. As long as he can win once, it doesn't matter how many times he loses. Tsunade took out a banknote and continued to shout to Uehara Naraku, "Hey, kid, do I need to give you a few hundred taels for travel expenses?" Uehara Naraku's face was visibly ugly. Seeing this, Hashiga Kikisame next to him grabbed the handle of Samehuda's knife. Uehara waved his hand to stop him. "Ignore her, kid." As Tsunade shouted, a banknote flew towards Uehara Naraku and was easily caught by his fingers. Uehara Naraku finally couldn't help turning his head and looked at the blonde female ninja standing at the entrance of the hot spring village. Tsunade's fist supported her chin, looked at Uehara Naraku and smiled. "Don't you have money to play with me today? I don't mind writing an IOU." After saying that, Tsunade licked the corner of her mouth. The charm of a woman is fully displayed on Tsunade, and people are embarrassed to look at her directly. What is this woman doing? He is just a 12-year-old child. Wait for me for a while. Uehara Naraku finally couldn't bear it anymore. He was not a serious ninja. He only wanted to get the system's side quest reward. Sir Uehara. Hashiga Kikisame was in a bad state. There was a big doubt in his small eyes. However, when he saw Uehara Naraku's outstretched palm, Hashiga Kikisame still put a sealing scroll in Uehara's hand. Uehara even suspected that Tsunade cheated. According to common sense, defeating Tsunade at the gambling table should be the easiest side quest. Why does it feel harder than killing her now? Hazuki Maingetsu raised his head and said hesitantly, "Sir, Tsunade is a legendary 3 ninjas. No matter her identity or strength, it is not suitable to conflict with her." The ninja soul respected Tsunade very much. In a sense, Tsunade promoted the establishment of full-time medical ninjas, which greatly reduced ninja casualties. She has surpassed the narrow identity of Konoha ninjas. But she is provoking me. Uehara Naraku clenched the scroll in his hand and looked coldly at Tsunade in the distance. "Kimimero stays. You go first. Don't let this woman get too proud. I'm not some fortune-giving boy. Thanks to a loyal apostle for the reward. Thanks to Let's Eat Together Baby for the reward. No, I'm losing weight. Thanks to Colorful Not Like Only Love Black for the reward. You can also try gray and white. Thanks to Metaverse 27 for the reward. 100 points a day, happy all day long. Chapter 60. As a ninja born in a small ninja village, what I yearn for most is peace. Kaguya Kimimaro and Haku were a little confused. Kisame couldn't help but chuckle. It sounded like Uehara was a boss who valued his subordinates very much. Only Zabuza and Mansuki were a little puzzled. Did Uehara even bother to treat Kaguya Kimimaro, a young ninja who had not yet formed combat power, who was seriously ill? These ninjas from the land of water have always been cold and cruel. A young man like Kimimaro who got a serious illness would only die. The fourth Mizukaji Yagura wished they were all dead. However, Kizuki Mansuki remembered a rumor and had to discourage Uehara Naraku's thoughts. He whispered, "But I heard that Tsunade-sama, who is known as the strongest medical ninja, has retired. Since the war ended, she has never saved anyone again." "Yeah." Uehara Naraku nodded, looked at the blonde female ninja who was laughing happily in the distance, and sighed. Maybe there is something wrong with her own psychology. This woman, Tsunade, suffers from hemophobia. Who would have thought that a medical ninja would actually suffer from hemophobia, and she is also recognized as the strongest medical ninja in the ninja world. Uehara Naraku told the other members to continue on their way, and he took Kaguya Kimimaro to Tsunade and Shizune. Tsunade walked towards them, stopped beside Uehara, bent down and breathed on his shoulder, tilted her head and said, "How is it, kid? Still can't forget me? Let's find a place now." "Lady Tsunade." Shizune nervously pulled Tsunade's shoulder. "Pay attention to your image. Don't tease him like this, he's still a child." Tsunade ignored it, just quietly listened to Uehara's gradually accelerating heartbeat. Uehara Naraku helplessly reached out and pulled Tsunade's head aside, sighed and said, "If you want my money, just say it directly. There is no need to do this, Tsunade-senpai. TSK, you little brat. I have 5 million teals here." Uehara Naraku raised the scroll in his hand and whispered, "I can bet with you, but I have a request." The nonchalance on Tsunade's face suddenly disappeared. She just looked down at Uehara Naraku and frowned. "What request?" "Help to check his body." Uehara Naraku pointed to Kaguya Kimimaro next to him and whispered, "He is the last member of the Kaguya clan. Tsunade-senpai should have heard of him. The Kaguya clan of the Water Kingdom." Tsunade has not only heard of the name of the Kaguya clan, but also some secrets of this ninja clan. If I remember correctly, even in peacetime, the Kaguya clan has never had long-lived ninjas. Their personalities will become violent due to their bloodline. Tsunade didn't pay much attention to Kaguya Kimimaro. She was more interested in Uehara Naraku. She mentioned a few things about the Kaguya clan, and then turned the topic to Uehara. "Little brat." Tsunade's fingers picked up the scroll in Uehara's hand, and the corners of her mouth curled up. "We are here to gamble, but you ask me to help treat the disease?" Uehara Naraku heard the dissatisfaction in her words, and supported his forehead and said, "If you want, there will be people willing to give you money. But at the gambling table, you should not have won much money." Tsunade's forehead was visibly broken, because what Uehara Naraku said was indeed true. The anger on Tsunade's face suddenly dissipated, and she whispered, "Shizune, you go check the little brat of the Kaguya clan. I will play a few games with this little guy." "Yes, Tsunade-sama." Shizune breathed a sigh of relief and nodded respectfully. Tsunade and Uehara Naraku followed them, and found a rest area with seats nearby. Tsunade took out the dice from her pocket, and Uehara Naraku unsealed the scroll, and took out piles of money. While checking the body, she opened the gambling game. The dice cup rang. "Odd. Even. I won." Tsunade's face suddenly lit up. After reaching out to take the pile of money in front of Uehara, she asked, "What's your name, kid?" "Uehara Naraku." The boy was silent for a while, and did not hide his name. Tsunade raised her eyebrows, and continued to shake the dice cup. "I don't think I have heard of any ninjas or bigwigs named Uehara in the Hidden Mist Village. That's normal." Uehara Naraku shook his head and sighed. "How could there be a little ninja like me in such a big village like the Hidden Mist Village? Mr. Kisame and the others are just helping me complete the task. This is not wrong. It's just that Uehara's mission was to bring her Shigeki Kisame and others into the Akatsuki organization." Heh. Tsunade suddenly pressed the dice cup, raised her head, and looked at Uehara Naraku. A hint of amusement flashed across her face. "Even though you said this, you were so proud in your heart. The 5 major ninja villages are not taken seriously by you, a little kid. Tsunade-senpai." Uehara Naraku looked back at her unwillingly. I heard that the third Hokage of Konoha is very old. You can obviously succeed the position of Hokage if you go back, but you are still traveling outside. You don't care about the position of the cage of the strongest ninja village. You are the most proud person, right? But Tsunade does have the capital to be proud. Whether it's her family background, appearance, strength and ability, every item of her that appears on any other woman will make people proud. Hokage? Tsunade's eyes flashed with confusion. The two stopped talking and continued their gambling. Uehara Naraku's luck at the gambling table seems to be worse than Tsunade's. No matter what he guessed, he never guessed it right. The side quest of betting against Tsunade on the system panel seemed to be far away. Forget it, just pretend that the quest didn't exist. Uehara Naraku forced himself to comfort himself. According to the perception of Tsunade's luck by the fans of the second dimension, the reward for betting against Tsunade would definitely not be very generous. Tsunade picked up the pile of money in front of Uehara again and whispered, "Kit, I haven't won many times in my life. Every time I win the bet, something bad will happen. I have been winning your money these 2 days." Oh. Uehara Naraku knew about this curse. He was also a little curious that, now that Tsunade has won him so many times, will there be a big earthquake in Konoha village? Or will Jiraiya and Orochimaru be in danger? Uehara Naraku thought of his identity again. Maybe it was his luck that suppressed Tsunade's curse? As an intern of Akatsuki, as the last nesting doll of the masterminds behind the scenes of the ninja world, perhaps Tsunade now met him and did not eliminate his threat. In fact, it is her greatest misfortune and regret. Of course, it is unlikely that Tsunade wants to kill him now. Even Tsunade would not have thought that the boy sitting in front of her has the power of a cage. Tsunade's brain is quite active, and she suddenly laughed. "Hey, Kit, you will not become a member of an evil organization in the future, right? It seems that your identity is not simple. How is it possible?" Uehara Naraku denied Tsunade's accusation and said softly, "A ninja like me who comes from a small ninja village hopes that the ninja world can be peaceful more than anyone else. I guess odd this time. Then I guess even." Tsunade opened the dice cup with a confused look and took a stack of money from Uehara. Peace is more precious than money and life. Lady Tsunade. Shizune appeared in front of them with white gloves on her hands. She finished examining Kaguya Kimimero's condition. Shizune glanced at Kimimero standing beside her, her face full of apology and fatigue. "I'm sorry, his condition is very complicated. I'm sorry I can't do anything." Chapter 61. Just consider it as repaying the favor I owe my teacher. Hearing what Shizune said, Uehara Naraku couldn't help but look at the woman sitting opposite him. Senior Tsunade is the most famous medical ninja in the ninja world. Is there no way? Shizune's medical skills are no different from mine. Tsunade shook her head, glanced at Kaguya Kimimero, and said softly, "If Shizune is helpless, I can't come up with an effective medical plan. Because of the special situation now, she can't treat people." Uehara Naraku nodded, stood up and bowed to Shizune seriously. "Although I have been mentally prepared, I still want to thank Miss Shizune." Uehara did not have too high expectations for Tsunade. The future Orochimaru is a great scientist who combines ninjutsu, forbidden techniques, medicine, physics, biology, theology, and chemistry, but he is still helpless against the blood disease in Kimimero's body. Tsunade, a ninja who specializes in medical ninjutsu, is unlikely to cure him. And now Tsunade is still a patient with hemophobia. Sure enough, the probability of this is too low. After seeing Uehara's actions, Kaguya Kimimero also bowed respectfully to Shizune. "Thank you, Miss Shizune, I'm very grateful. Doctors who save lives should be respected." Shizune stopped their actions with an embarrassed look and said softly, "Please don't do this. It is our medical ninja's dereliction of duty that we cannot come up with a treatment plan. I can only make a suggestion. Let him supplement some necessary nutrients in the human body." "Okay, I'll remember it." Uehara Naraku shook his head, pointed to the piles of money left in front of him, and said softly, "Leave these as Miss Shizune's medical fees." Shizune hurriedly evaded. "How can I be so embarrassed?" Tsunade punched down, with some dissatisfaction on her face. "Hey, Kit, this is the money we need for gambling." Tsunade's brain circuit is really incomprehensible. In order to enter the casino, she always borrows money to avoid debt. Now that Uehara gave her the money, she insisted on dragging Uehara to continue gambling and lose the money to her openly. Sorry Senior Tsunade, we still have to hurry. Uehara Naraku chuckled and looked at Shizune and said, Senior Tsunade always loses money, so life must be very difficult, right? Miss Shizune, please leave it to offset the living expenses of the two of you. When Tsunade heard this, her face was immediately full of anger. Hey, Uehara kid, do you think we are here to beg? Shizune. No. Uehara Naraku shook his head, looked at Tsunade with an angry face, and explained seriously, my teacher also received the favor of Senior Tsunade during the war. Now let's treat it as a return. Tsunade's expression was a little stunned. She didn't expect Uehara to have such a saying. Should I ask who the kid's teacher is, and who taught such a grateful disciple, and if she meets Uehara's teacher one day, can she borrow some money or something? Tsunade is sometimes more upright than anyone else. Sometimes there is really no moral integrity to speak of. Goodbye. Uehara Naraku greeted them politely and left with Kaguya Kimimaro. Tsunade looked at their retreating figures with regret and sighed. Besides my great-grandfather, this is the first person who can have fun with me. Tsunade-sama, I'm not yet an adult. Shizune took the money left by Uehara with a frown on her face. Shizune was really impressed by Uehara's generosity. That little guy's really nice. He must have deliberately lost to Tsunade-sama these 2 days in order to repay the kindness of his teacher who saved him before. Tsunade was immediately dissatisfied with Shizune's words and punched Shizune on the head. What did you say? I won it from him fairly. Shizune covered her head and echoed a few words. Yes, yes. But that kid is really interesting. Tsunade touched the corner of her lips and chuckled. Shizune, do you think that those who give you money are all good people? Or Orochimaru used to lend me money often and never took the initiative to ask for debts. An hour and a half later, Uehara Naraku and Kaguya Kimimaro caught up with the team again. The people in the team knew the result of the bet between Uehara and Tsunade just by looking at his face. Hashiga Kikisame and Hazuki Maingetsu knew what to do and didn't say anything. Zabuza Momochi was a man who didn't care about his life. He looked at Uehara and sneered. Little brat, have you lost all your money again? Uehara Naraku looked up at Zabuza Momochi and secretly memorized his name. So many people didn't say anything, but you are the only one who talks too much. However, seeing everyone's eyes focused on him, Uehara explained, I felt that the woman was really pitiful, so I gave her some money. My teacher also received her kindness in the past, and it's not good to sit back and watch her live in poverty. These words sounded like the truth. It seemed to be true. Whether the money lost to Tsunade or the living expenses left for Shizune, it was considered to repay the favor that Konan had taken from her when she took the dry bread. Zabuza Momochi wanted to make a few more sarcastic remarks, but when he saw Uehara Naraku's unfriendly eyes, he shut his mouth. Bei's face was a little nervous and uneasy. He glanced at the somewhat lost Kaguya Kimimaro and asked softly, Uehara, can Kimimaro's disease be cured? Tsunade can't do anything either. Uehara Naraku shook his head, glanced at the lonely Kaguya Kimimaro, and said softly, but I guess he might be calcium deficient. Calcium, iron, zinc, selenium, and vitamins. Maybe all of them? Lacking, what? Bei and Kaguya Kimimaro looked puzzled. Anyway, it's just a lack of nutrition. Uehara Naraku rubbed his forehead, thinking of those strange advertisements in his previous life, and sighed. There's nothing new here. Let him drink more milk first. I'll think of a way in the future. The blood inheritance of the corpse bone vein is to gather calcium in human bones, so that the bones become abnormally hard. Uehara couldn't figure out the nature of the blood inheritance disease, but he didn't panic. There are many things in this ninja world that cannot be solved by science, so they can only be solved by chakra. 4 things that chakra can't solve. Let's see if the system can solve them. Who knows what strange skills he might get in the future. If even his plugin can't solve Kimimaro's condition, then Kimimaro can only hope for the best. Uehara Naraku sighed in his heart and took a look at the 2 side quests in his system. Both of these quests cannot be completed so quickly. Side quest, let Haku survive. 0/1, the reward is unknown. Side quest, let Kaguya Kimimaro survive. 0/1, the reward is unknown. According to Uehara's guess, as long as he lets Haku and Kaguya Kimimaro survive the 15-year-old catastrophe, it can be completed. Haku is only 11 years old this year, and Kaguya Kimimaro is only 10 years old. There is no need to worry about Haku's problem. There is no need to rush about Kimimaro's matter. As long as Uehara Naraku carefully looks for those tasks in the system panel that may bring healing skills during this period of time, there should be hope to solve Kimimaro's condition, and also solve the disease that Hazuki Manayu may suffer from. Uehara Naraku couldn't help but glance at main Jetsuki Zuki in front of him. This 13-year-old member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen couldn't even complete this kind of side quest. Isn't his popularity in the two-dimensional world too low? Compared with Tsunade, there is a world of difference. If it weren't for the fact that he was going back with a group of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen to report, Uehara Naraku really wanted to stay with Tsunade and complete some side quests that were not easy to talk about directly. Maybe there would be medical skills in them. Thanks to Metaverse 27 for the reward. Another 100 points, a happy whole day. Thanks to QIU thank you for the reward. I'm a little scared of this reward number. Thanks to MOUZHIZHU for the reward. Congratulations on being able to post pictures in the comments section. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. The straight male disciple brought a gift to the teacher. There were no troubles in the small countries along the way, and Uehara Naraku finally returned to the Akatsuki base with a team of people he recruited. Destiny. Uehara Naraku looked at the Akatsuki base and quietly opened the destiny skill. He planned to see who was inside the base. Unexpectedly, before Uehara Naraku looked at the people in the base, he saw a woman close to him in the display of the destiny skill. Uehara Naraku couldn't help but smile and said loudly, "Teacher, I have completed the mission and returned. Can I become an official member of Akatsuki?" Just when Shigeki Kisame and Hazuki Mainjetsu saw Uehara Naraku talking to the air and felt that this boss was mentally ill, a breeze suddenly blew in the air. The hidden paper escape secret ninja is not something that ordinary ninjas can detect. What do you think? A woman's indifferent voice suddenly reached everyone's ears. Countless paper butterflies suddenly flew up in the air, forming the figure of a woman, with a hint of seriousness in her eyes, because she had to compete with Uchiha Obito to carry out the mission. She was sent to the land of water, and ended up falling into danger. How many times have I told you not to have anything to do with the current Akatsuki? Hey, Teacher Conan. Uehara Naraku stretched out a palm, held his forehead and sighed. Teacher Conan, but I have exceeded the task assigned by Lord Yahiko. Conan's face suddenly darkened, and he fell from the air in front of Uehara, looking at him coldly. Do you think you should be proud? Not proud at all. Uehara Naraku sighed, shook his head and said, it is because of the summoning objects and detonating tags given to me by Lord Yahiko and Teacher Conan that I can be sure of my safe return. Just when Uehara Naraku wanted to say something, Conan's palm suddenly covered his head and sighed. Forget it, as long as you come back safely. Yeah. Uehara Naraku smiled awkwardly. He said, didn't Mr. Conan give me 100 million detonating tags? And Lord Yahiko also gave me a summoning item. But, I'm still a little worried about you. Conan lowered her head and touched Uehara's hair. Now she has more power than before, and she wants to protect her cherished companions, but unfortunately she can no longer make up for the regrets of the past. Shigeki Kisame, Mainjetsu Hazumi, Momochi's abuser and others beside them listened to their conversation, and their expressions changed. Is that well-behaved boy really the lawless Uehara Naraku? The atmosphere became a little weird. Their new boss was obviously rampant in the land of water, and even dared to kill the 4th Mizukage, and even instigated the 3-7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist village to defect. Now he is as obedient as a child in front of that woman. But after hearing their conversation, Shigeki Kisame and others looked at each other, and their hearts were shocked beyond words. I seem to understand why Uehara is so obedient. This blue-haired woman in a red cloud and black robe is a person who gives her disciples 100 million exploding talismans at will. It seems that she is not easy to mess with. No wonder this woman can be the teacher of this guy Uehara. By the way, I brought a gift for teacher Conan. Uehara Naraku took out a sealing scroll and pulled out a ninja sword wrapped in an exploding talisman from the scroll. On the way back, Uehara Naraku tried to summon the exploding talisman and the exploding sword, but unfortunately the exploding talisman and the exploding sword Fimo seemed to be sealed in another form, and there was no way to summon the exploding talisman. However, from main Jetsu Kizuna's mouth, Uehara knew the power of this exploding sword Fimo. When encountering the most dangerous time, he can directly destroy this ninja sword. The detonation power is enough to destroy the strongest ninja in the ninja world. Conan likes exploding talismans so much, so he should like exploding sword Fimo, right? However, when Xiaonan saw the explosive knife Fimo, her expression gradually became a little stiff. Naraku, what are you holding? This thing looks so ugly. How come she didn't realize that her disciple is so straight? Doesn't this kid Uehara know that his teacher actually cares about the beauty of art? Uehara Naraku grabbed the handle of the knife and explained softly, this is the explosive knife Fimo that has been passed down from generation to generation in the Hidden Mist Village. It is said that there are countless detonating tags hidden in it. I think teacher Xiaonan should like this ninja sword. I don't actually lack detonating tags. Xiaonan sighed, stroked Uehara's forehead, and said softly, you don't need to prepare a gift for me, as long as you can grow up safely. Yes, teacher. Uehara Naraku looked at Xiaonan in confusion, and threw the explosive knife Fimo in his hand to Manzuki Kizuki, which was also considered to be returning the property to its original owner. This ninja sword is too ugly, and doesn't fit his image. Akatsuki's base has not changed much. It's just that the members have changed a bit. In addition to Kakuzu having an immortal partner, hidden, so he doesn't have to worry about him selling out his teammates for money anymore. The mysterious masked man, Afei, was kicked out of the Akatsuki organization. Uehara Naraku was saying, so many shits in his heart. He was originally thinking about how to continue to discredit Uchiha Obito, but Pain and Conan actually kicked Uchiha Obito out of the Akatsuki organization. This TM. The main creative planner of Dark Akatsuki was fired. When Uehara heard the news, it felt like the general manager of a company fired the chairman of the group and put him on the cooperation blacklist. Is it necessary for Kisame to be a spy? From then on, Uchiha Obito was unilaterally kicked out of the ranks of the 4 major actors, and this person will no longer be qualified to compete with him for the position of the mastermind. However, when Uehara Naraku saw that Zetsu was still in the Akatsuki base, he suddenly felt that it was still necessary for Hoshigaki Kisame to be a spy. Although Uchiha Obito's people are gone, his ghost is still active in the sky above Akatsuki. Perhaps because Zetsu's information is very important, and the Black Zetsu's acting is also more realistic. Pain and Conan think that Zetsu is also a victim deceived by Obito. Conan's disciples are really scary. Zetsu's voice is still so cold. When Zetsu saw Uehara Naraku and a group of people behind him, he chuckled and continued, the 3-7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village, and 2 little ghosts. They have won over so many people in one breath. Could there be spies from the Hidden Mist Village among them? After saying that, Zetsu continued to add, the fact that Uchiha Obito is a spy of Shimura Danzo has just passed. Uehara Naraku's expression became a little unfriendly. What exactly does Zetsu want to do? Why is he talking about Uchiha Obito in front of him? What is the identity of Uchiha Obito? Don't you know it yourself, the instigator? Alright. Pain stopped Zetsu from picking a fight, looked at Uehara Naraku and the group of people behind him, and said softly, Uehara, introduce the newcomers you have recruited. It seems that 3 of them should be mature fighters. It happens that Scorpion and Uchiha Itachi don't have their own partners. You can help them assign them after the introduction. I refuse. Scorpion of the Red Sand hid in his puppet and said in a muffled voice, these guys are too ugly. Even if they are made into puppets by me, they are not qualified. Only the 2 little ghosts behind Uehara look like human beings. Thanks to 10,086 who happened to pass by for the reward. I will pass by 10,010 next time. Thanks to the reward from the baby who wants to eat together. No, I ate too much breakfast. Chapter 63, Zyos team assignment. Scorpion is really a master of provoking a fight. Although we have to admit that his original body is indeed very handsome, but now he is wearing an ugly red amber. Isn't this an insult to his own aesthetics? Momochi's abuser was immediately furious, grabbing the beheading sword and glaring at Scorpion. "Asshole, what did you say?" Scorpion sneered. "I said you are too ugly." Scorpion. Peen, who was standing on the finger of the outer path golem, interrupted Scorpion loudly and continued in a cold voice. "Every member must have his own partner. This is not something you can refuse." Scorpion heard Peen's words and stopped talking. "Hehe," Zetsu said sinisterly beside him. "If Scorpion really doesn't want to, it doesn't matter. I have also found a new person who is suitable to be his partner." During this time, Zetsu was not idle. Even if Akatsuki expelled Uchiha Obito, it would not affect Zetsu's dedication. In order to realize the Moon Eye plan, Akatsuki must add enough manpower, so Zetsu has been trying to find powerful ninjas. Coincidentally, Zetsu really found a genius ninja who was expelled from the Hidden Rock Village. Although he has a bit of a bad temper, his strength is really strong. Then after the team is assigned, send a team of members to go with Sasori. Peen nodded in agreement with Zetsu's suggestion and looked at Uehara Naraku. "Uehara, introduce the newcomer to everyone." "Okay." Uehara Naraku stopped the irritable Momochi's abuser and said softly, "This is Abuser Momochi, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village, the current holder of the beheading sword. The previous holder of the beheading sword was Mr. Itachi's partner, Biwajuzo." After hearing Biwajuzo's name, Uchiha Itachi slowly raised his eyes, looked at the beheading sword in Abuser Momochi's hand, and lowered his head again. Just because of the two identities of being the owner of the beheading sword and the person who killed the 4th Mizukage, Uchiha Itachi was not opposed to Abuser becoming his partner. After all, the previous owner of the beheading sword, Biwajuzo, sacrificed himself to save his life. Uehara Naraku stretched out his finger and pointed at Maingetsu Hazuki behind him and continued softly, "This is Maingetsu Hazuki. He became one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village at the age of 13. He is a rare genius ninja like Mr. Itachi." After saying this, Uehara Naraku laughed with some evil taste. "What's interesting is that there are only 2 members left of the wealthy Maingetsu clan in the Hidden Mist Village. Maingetsu does have a younger brother who hates him to the core." "Oh." Everyone present immediately became interested. Kakuzu asked without any hesitation, "Did this brat named Maingetsu Hazuki also kill his entire clan?" Uehara Naraku shook his head and said, "That's not the case. The demise of the Maingetsu clan was due to the persecution of the 4th Mizukage Yagura." Pain asked the question that he was most concerned about. "Uehara, are you sure he is not a spy from the Hidden Mist Village?" "No." Uehara Naraku glanced at Maingetsu Hazuki, and after seeing Maingetsu Hazuki nodded. Uehara chuckled and said, "Maingetsu wants most to revive the Maingetsu clan. When his younger brother grows up, he will use his brother's hatred for him and become a whetstone for his brother's growth." While saying these words, Uehara looked at the expressions of the crowd and continued softly, "This secret is enough to prevent him from betraying us, and I think you seniors will not hurt Maingetsu Hazuki and don't want to miss a good show of brothers killing each other." "Huh, interesting." Kakuzu hugged his arms and nodded. Others nodded in agreement. These people were not interested in the story of a declining ninja clan's revival. If they met Hazuki Maingetsu one day in the future, they would not choose to kill him. The scene of brothers killing each other is still worth watching. Only Uchiha Itachi's expression changed slightly and then returned to normal. If possible, Uchiha Itachi wanted to curse now. Why did the story of Hazuki Maingetsu sound a bit like what he wanted to do? Soon someone else discovered this problem. Xiaonan walked over, looked at Uchiha Itachi and said, "Why do I feel that the story of this newcomer is somewhat similar to that of Uchiha Itachi? Itachi is different." Zetsu quickly shook his head and explained on behalf of Uchiha Itachi, "He killed all his clansmen with his own hands." Uchiha Itachi was a little worried about being exposed. He stretched out his hand to touch his eye sockets and said in a deep voice, "I'm different from Mr. Kizuna. I'm just waiting for my brother to grow up and use his life to test my strength." Kizuna Manaiu originally had some good feelings for Uchiha Itachi. After hearing what he said, he immediately looked dissatisfied. Is there anyone who wants to kill his own brother? Damn, this heretic. He actually wanted to kill a cute creature like his brother. It's normal that we have different ideas. Uchiha Itachi raised his head coldly, staring at Hazuki Maingetsu with scholar eyes and said, I hope that I can have more powerful power. Even if I have to sacrifice everything I have, I will not hesitate. Uehara Naraku. It's enough to just show your respect. Why is Uchiha Itachi still acting? If one day in the future, someone really kills Uchiha Sasuke, won't you fight to kill the whole family? Hazuki Maingetsu looked at Uchiha Itachi with disdain and said in a deep voice, I don't want to team up with such a person. It just so happens that I don't want to either. Uchiha Itachi lowered his head and hid his eyes. From the true feelings in his heart, Uchiha Itachi actually prefers Hazuki Maingetsu as his partner. Two brother-con lovers must have a lot in common. However, Uchiha Itachi was worried that, after getting along for a long time, Hazuki Maingetsu would discover his secret. After all, everyone is a brother-con, and even a look at his younger brother may reveal his true attitude. Just when Uehara Naraku wanted to introduce a Shigeki Kisame, Zetsu suddenly interrupted and said, in that case, let a Shigeki Kisame be Uchiha Itachi's partner, right? This was the goal of him and Obito. They must find a way to let a Shigeki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi form a team, so that a Shigeki Kisame can monitor Uchiha Itachi's every move. Uehara Naraku looked at Zetsu in surprise and said softly, Mr. Kisame was originally the teammate that the traitor Uchiha Obito found for Uchiha Itachi. I have some doubts about his loyalty, so I would like to suggest that he be an intern with me for a while. If Black Zetsu still insisted that Kisame and Uchiha Itachi be partners, then he would choose to agree. Kisame is the newcomer I'm looking for Akatsuki. Zetsu quickly interrupted Uehara Naraku and said in a deep voice, Uchiha Obito must have deceived Kisame. Now Shigeki Kisame will definitely not want to see Uchiha Obito again, right? That's right. Shigeki Kisame showed his mouth full of shark teeth, chuckled and said, if I meet that masked guy next time, I will let him know the price of deceiving me. Uehara Naraku was silent for a while, raised his head, and looked at Pain, and suggested, then according to Zetsu's opinion, directly arrange Mr. Zabuza and Maingetsu Shigeki in one team, and Mr. Shigeki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi in the other team? Okay. Pain didn't care, and glanced at Kaguya Kimimaro and Haku behind Uehara, and said softly, Uehara, as for the two little ghosts you brought. Conan put his hand on Uehara Naraku's shoulder and suggested, it seems that these two little ghosts don't have much combat power. Let them follow Naraku for the time being. Thanks to Ninja Jinren for the tip. Thanks to MOUZHIZHU, Wang Dengshan, and UNG27 for the tip. My hands are so tired. Chapter 64 Don't fool me with the detonating talisman. Uehara Naraku looked at Conan distributing red cloud black robes, rings, and nail polish to Shigeki Kisame, Hazuki Maingetsu and Momochi Zabuza, and he couldn't help but feel envious. He wants it too. Side quest, wear the red cloud black robe uniform of Akatsuki and bear the name of Akatsuki, 0/1, the reward is unknown. How popular is Akatsuki? It is known as the #1 group in the ninja world. Such a high reward task is in front of him. As long as Conan gives him a uniform and agrees to let him become a member of Akatsuki, Uehara can get the reward. Uehara Naraku couldn't help himself and came to Conan and said, Teacher Conan, I have helped Akatsuki recruit 3 new members. Can you give me a uniform? Don't think about these messy things. Conan knocked on Uehara Naraku's forehead. Pain told me that you use the exploding talisman to force Uchiha Obito back. Have you used up all the exploding talismans I gave you before? Before Uehara Naraku could react to what he meant, Conan took out a few scrolls and stuffed them into his arms, rubbing his head. There are 1 billion exploding talismans in it, just as a reward for completing your task. Uehara Naraku. Side quest, collect 1 billion exploding talismans. 10,000,000/1 billion. The task has been completed, and the reward is 400 gold coins. How could his teacher do this? He wants to pick up the exploding talisman to fool him. Shigeki Kisame, Hazuki Maingetsu and others were so shocked when they saw Conan casually throw a scroll containing 100 million exploding talismans to Uehara Naraku. What kind of godly teacher is this? He casually gave out exploding talismans in units of 100 million. Conan didn't seem to care about her generosity. In normal battles, she didn't use many exploding talismans. Generally, she only used a larger number of exploding talismans when she used the God's Paper technique to hide the exploding talisman array in advance and ambush. Uehara Naraku took the scroll aggrievedly, unsealed it, pulled out a pile of exploding talismans, and handed them to Hoshigaki Kisame. "I've paid off the money I owe you." Hoshigaki Kisame took the exploding talismans from Uehara Naraku in confusion, and gave some to Hazuki Maingetsu and Momochi's abuser. They really didn't care about Uehara paying back the money. If it was money, it would be fine, but this is an exploding talisman. Even if it is sold in the cheapest country, the detonating tag can be sold for 2,000 taels, and it is not easy to buy. Relying on the teacher means you are rich. When Xiaonan heard what Uehara said, he couldn't help but frowned, staring at Uehara and said, "How come you owe them money?" Uehara Naraku began to think of a suitable excuse. Hoshigaki Kisame was understanding and immediately helped him out. "We met Tsunade-sama of Konoha before. Uehara-sama gambled with her twice and lost millions of taels." Uehara Naraku's head slowly turned around, staring at Hoshigaki Kisame closely, and cast a desperate look at him. "What's wrong with Hoshigaki Kisame? I clearly told him before that he must not disclose the fact that he lost money in the Soup Ninja village, and didn't he already return the money to him?" The next moment, Uehara felt a cold gaze falling on him. Xiaonan stretched out her palm and slowly turned Uehara's head to look at herself. Her face was gloomy, which made Uehara a little flustered. The woman's palm slowly moved down, stroking the cheek of the young ninja, and her fingers stopped at Uehara's earlobe. Conan's voice became extremely cold, with some anger. "Naraku, have you learned to gamble?" "I'm not. I don't think about it." Uehara Naraku shook his head repeatedly and explained, "I just saw that Tsunade-senpai's life was difficult. After all, she was Jiraiya-senpai's teammate, and my main purpose was to let Tsunade-senpai help Kimimaro see a doctor. In fact, he just wanted to complete a task. Could he have any other thoughts?" Conan's death stare lasted for a long time before it finally softened. "Don't gamble in the future, understand?" And Jiraiya said, "Tsunade-senpai is hopeless. No matter how much money you give her, she will become penniless because of gambling." "Yes, I know." Uehara Naraku nodded seriously. "I really didn't expect that Jiraiya would secretly blacken his old teammate more than 10 years ago, and what he said was true. What's the use of Tsunade's winning so much money from him? In the end, she will lose it all." Hoshigaki Kisame has already put on the red cloud and black robe. He glanced at Uehara's embarrassment and chuckled. "Lord Uehara, I will go out to meet my teammates first." "Go." Uehara Naraku squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth with hatred. It was clear that Hoshigaki Kisame was the spy he was going to plant, but the first thing Hoshigaki Kisame did after joining Akatsuki was to inadvertently leak his affairs to Conan. This guy's not as honest as he thought. "Keep your mouth shut, don't you understand?" If Uehara wasn't smart and found a barely tenable reason, Conan wouldn't have looked at him well for several days. "Don't blame me, Lord Uehara." Hoshigaki Kisame spread his hands, with a more intense smile on his face. "I just think Lord Uehara shouldn't do things that he shouldn't do at his age. Senior Conan should discipline his disciples." "I see, thank you for your reminder." After Conan nodded, he looked up at Hoshigaki Kisame with a hint of friendliness and trust. After leaving the logistics base, Zabuza Momochi couldn't help but chuckle at Hoshigaki Kisame and said, "Humph, you must have offended that brat Uehara this time." "Really?" Hoshigaki Kisame's smile didn't fade. He glanced at Zabuza Momochi, as if he was looking at a mentally retarded person. "Then I really didn't notice it." Maingetsu Hoshigaki looked at Kisame Hoshigaki thoughtfully and said softly, "In fact, adults should respect their teachers very much, right? When we came back, he seemed to mention his teacher often inadvertently. It seems that there are not too many idiots among us." Hoshigaki Kisame chuckled and disdained Zabuza Momochi in his words, and then separated from them to meet his new partner by the lake. Uchiha Itachi was thinking about life here again. Now Uchiha Itachi felt a little regretful and strange. There are people like Maingetsu Hoshigaki in the ninja world. If there is a chance, should he find a way to understand how Maingetsu Hoshigaki manipulated his brother? The sound of Samehada's broadsword stabbing into the ground disrupted Itachi Uchiha's thoughts. Hoshigaki Kisame stood behind him and whispered, "What are you thinking about?" The famous Itachi who exterminated his clan. Itachi Uchiha closed his eyes and didn't want to answer. Hashiga Kikisame walked towards Itachi Uchiha step by step, approached him and said, "Do you need my help to guess? For example, how to prevent others from noticing? You are actually the same as that brat Maingetsu Hazuki, who wants to protect your brother?" Itachi Uchiha's expression did not change. He just reached out and slowly brushed his hair that was messed up by the wind and whispered, "If you are just saying these meaningless words, it has meaning." The smile on Hashiga Kikisame's face was exceptionally kind. "I just want to make sure, if you really don't care about your brother, I can now plan to kill him and let myself have a pair of Sharingan. My chakra is very abundant, and the consumption of Sharingan should be negligible for me." Itachi Uchiha's fingers couldn't help but tremble. Perhaps this new teammate with a shark face is the most difficult test since he came to Akatsuki. The members of Akatsuki are all extremely mentally ill. Uchiha Itachi listened to what Hashiga Kikisame said, but he couldn't tell whether what he said was true or not. Hashiga Kikisame noticed Uchiha Itachi's finger obscurely, and the smile on his face became more and more intense. It seems that his boss Uehara Naraku's judgment has come true again. When Uchiha Itachi finally couldn't hold back and wanted to say something, Hashiga Kikisame stopped him first. The smile on the shark's face became a little hideous. "Okay, I'm kidding. Compared to a pair of Sharingan, I want to see a duel between brothers. Ask for some recommendation votes. Thank you for the reward from Kang. Big brother Seigeo. Thank you for the reward from Kia. Thank you. Why are the reward numbers always weird? Thank you for the reward from I'm the man who wants to be the pirate king. Thank you." Chapter 65. One of the 3 ninja taboos is to avoid women. Boring. Uchiha Itachi gradually relaxed, skipped the topic about his brother, and said in a deep voice, "Tomorrow we will go to the Hidden Rock Village with Sasori. I hope you won't die there. Mr. Itachi is really a dangerous person." Hashiga Kikisame grinned and continued, "We are both members of Akatsuki introduced by Lord Obito before his defection. If I die, who will be Mr. Itachi's next teammate? Lord Obito?" Uchiha Itachi's eyes suddenly changed. This spy from the Anbu of Konoha immediately guessed the true identity of Hashiga Kikisame. This guy was planted by Uchiha Obito. It would be difficult to do anything dirty. It doesn't matter. Uchiha Itachi got up and left the lake. Hashiga Kikisame stopped where he was and stared at his back with a smile on his face. "It's so sad. Even if you have the Sharingan, how far can you see?" Akatsuki's base. After Uchiha Itachi returned to his room, Zetsu appeared. "Itachi, if you have any information to tell Obito during this period, I can pass it on." Uchiha Itachi frowned, looked at Zetsu coldly, and asked, "Is this the order of Shimura Danzo?" Hearing Uchiha Itachi's words, Zetsu's expression was very funny. During this period, they really considered making the best of a bad situation and let Uchiha Obito contact Shimura Danzo to see if Danzo could take the blame. But after Hatake Kakashi returned to Konoha, Shimura Danzo was busy talking nonsense with Kakashi and probably didn't want to take over Obito's hot trouble. And Uchiha Obito was disdainful of cooperating with Danzo. Damn, he had already been fired by Nagato, but he still had to be picky and picky. It's a pity that this person was chosen by Uchiha Madara. Black Zetsu could only smile sinisterly and correct Uchiha Itachi's thoughts. "Itachi, have you also been influenced by Pain and Konan? Obito is obeying Madara's will." White Zetsu sighed softly and said, "It's just that the idiot Obito was too impatient at the time, so they mistaken him for Danzo's spy. We will soon clear up this misunderstanding, and Obito will come back to control Akatsuki again." "I understand." After Uchiha Itachi nodded, his face suddenly became serious and he said, "After we complete the mission in the Iwagakure village and come back, I want to see him." Hehe, okay. Black Zetsu agreed to Uchiha Itachi's request. Uchiha Itachi's eyes flickered, and he whispered, "I'm curious about how Uchiha Obito can clear his suspicion. If he can't regain control of Akatsuki, my situation in Akatsuki will be very dangerous, and Pain and Konan will sooner or later suspect me." "Don't worry." Beizetsu chuckled and replied, "We got a message that Hands of the Salamander has sent people to contact Danzo in order to wipe out the revived Akatsuki. Konan happened to be leading her team, to attack the Rain Ninja. So as long as this incident is used to inadvertently let Conan discover the truth. This is the advantage of intelligence. As long as they can find a way to pass some information to Conan first. For example, Shimura Danzo is planning to assassinate the reappeared Uchiha Obito and the truth of Uchiha Obito's betrayal of Konoha. When Conan attacks the Rain Ninja and Konoha Ninja, she will get part of the truth and naturally clear Obito's suspicion. It has always been Uchiha Obito who guided Nagato to develop the power of the Samurai. As long as Obito's suspicion is cleared, he can return to Akatsuki with a little manipulation. As for the information that Conan will get at that time, it is naturally half true and half false, and it must be added. However, it is true that Hanzo of the Salamander contacted and made an appointment with Danzo Shimura. Danzo Shimura has also used the information of Uchiha Obito to take back the position of the leader of the Root from Hiruzen Sarutobi. He also wants to reconnect with Hanzo and try to get Hanzo's support to get involved in the position of Hokage. After leaving the Akatsuki base, Black Zetsu asked in a gloomy voice, when will Danzo and Hanzo's people meet up? According to our surveillance, it will be in the next 2 days. White Zetsu shook his head, his expression a little confused, but this time Conan brought 2 more little ghosts. Their speed of action is very slow. Should they be able to catch up? It doesn't matter. Black Zetsu snorted coldly and said, as long as she finds the reunion of Konoha Ninja and Rain Ninja, she will definitely not be able to hold back and attack them, and then she will get the truth. This time, the speed of action of Conan and Uehara Naraku was indeed a bit slow. With the return of Uehara Naraku and Conan, their task of attacking the hidden Rain Ninja began to restart again, but this time there were 2 more people, Kaguya Kimimaro and Haku. When they learned that they were going to go out on a mission together, Kaguya Kimimaro looked a little surprised and asked, can we go on the mission together? I didn't want to take you with me. Uehara Naraku looked at Conan helplessly and sighed, but teacher Conan thinks I should have 2 teammates. This is the prejudice of the ninja world. Or it can be said that this is the legacy left by Jiraiya. Conan is now teaching Uehara completely according to Jiraiya's approach. She is the leader of the team, and Uehara Naraku, Kaguya Kimimaro and Haku form a team. Conan hopes that Uehara Naraku can have a normal ninja career, instead of thinking about becoming a formal member of Akatsuki and hanging out with a group of psychopathic rebel ninjas every day. Uehara, are we dragging you down? Haku's eyes were a little confused, and he asked a little seriously. Although he is a teenager, he is surprisingly handsome and looks cuter than a girl. Especially Haku is very sensible, which always makes Uehara have the illusion that Haku is the big sister in the family. Mingming is not that old. This is a reason why homeless children grow up early. Alas, not really. Uehara Naraku sighed, touched Bai's head, and said softly, it is also a very happy thing to be able to form a team with you. Even if his original intention was just to recruit a few cute subordinates, the reward given by the system was too generous. Who would have thought that this simplest task would actually reward a skill of time and space? In other words, the essence of the system is to let him complete tasks from easy to difficult. It seems that the rewards for some simple tasks are also very high, which makes him move towards the long Aoshin mode from the beginning. As a result, instead of joining any ninja village, he joined the Akatsuki organization and started the Hell mode and the Little Disciple mode. Side quest, join a ninja team, 1/1, the task has been completed, and the reward skill Secret Merciful Soul Fall is awarded. Secret skill, Mercy Soul Drop. After providing a shield that can resist a fatal blow to your teammates, you will be teleported to your teammates regardless of the distance in time and space. The cooldown time is 160 seconds and the chakra consumption is 100 points. This skill is interesting, whether it is for support or escape. However, because Uehara lost to Tsunade before, he got the teleportation function of Fate. He didn't care much about the teleportation function of Mercy Soul Drop. He preferred the shield that could resist a fatal blow. Conan, who was walking at the front of the team, turned her head and looked at the 3 boys, especially Uehara Naraku's face. This disciple didn't seem to resist her arrangement. According to the description of teacher Jiraiya, it is usually composed of 2 boys and 1 girl, which stimulates the fighting instinct of boys, and the girl will reconcile the relationship between the 2 teammates, thus forming a unique bond. It's a pity that there are no girls in this team. Now we can only use Bei, who looks like a girl. Konan fiddled with her blue hair and looked at Uehara Naraku, who was talking to Kimimaro and Bei, and a smile appeared on her face. The 3 forbidden things for ninjas are money, alcoholism, and women. Now it doesn't seem like a bad thing to not let Naraku have contact with girls. Thanks to Mew, who is only called Bei for the reward. Thanks to Let's Eat Together Baby, UNG27 for the reward. Thanks to Crimson Blazing Wings for the reward. Thanks to Ashang for the reward. Thanks to Life's Proud Blue for the reward. Thanks to Gahuna for the reward. Thanks to Woodmade Snow for the reward. By the way, how did you get those reward numbers with both zeros and integers? This is the first time I found. Chapter 66. My parents were killed by Konoha ninjas. The rain started to fall again. The rain ninjas hid in a base. Just as they heard footsteps outside the base, a voice suddenly penetrated the rain and reached the ears of the rain ninjas. The voice sounded like a little guy, and there was some playfulness in the words. Have you hidden? If you are, we will start looking for you. Just as the other ninjas were surprised, the expression of the captain of the Jonin who had just been sent to guard the hidden rain village suddenly changed. This Jonin captain was none other than Hattori Hirakawa, who had the title of the Hidden Rainthorn. Because the salamander that Hattori Hirakawa was responsible for taking care of and protecting died in the hands of Konan some time ago, several ninja teams were also killed by Uehara. Because of this incident, Hattori Hirakawa was considered to have made a big mistake and was exiled to this small base by the salamander Hanzo. There are Akatsuki people outside. Hattori Hirakawa clenched his ninja sword fiercely. When the kid Uehara Naraku appeared here, it meant that this base was finished. During this period of time, the news that the Akatsuki organization had revived from the ashes had spread throughout the land of rain. Although according to the news from the Rain Ninja, there is only one woman and a boy, but their strength is extremely strong. As an eyewitness, Hattori Hirakawa felt more directly. Just that boy's not someone they can defeat. Hattori Hirakawa turned his head and looked at his subordinates and said in a deep voice, "We will escape separately and meet in the canyon in the east at night. But we will be defeated step by step, right?" One of the Rain Ninjas suggested, "Captain, why don't we stay here? As long as we can hold on for a day, Hanzo's right hand will soon arrive, and then we can destroy these guys." "Idiot." Hattori Hirakawa cursed. "If we stay here, we can't hold on for long. Don't think so much, retreat immediately." Yes. Several Rain Ninjas accepted Hattori Hirakawa's order helplessly. But when these genin just left the base, bone bullets suddenly flew over and shot into their chests and abdomens, and blood splashed out. Several Rain Ninjas were already silent. Only the senior ninja Hattori Hirakawa held the ninja sword in his hand and barely blocked the impact of a bone bullet. Even so, he was injured by the impact of the bone bullet. Hattori Hirakawa looked up and saw a blue-haired woman wearing a red cloud and black robe. There were 3 little ghosts beside her, and one of the white-haired little ghosts was pointing his finger at him. Obviously, it was this finger that attacked and destroyed the Rain Ninja team. "Leave him alive, Kimimaro." Uehara Naraku waved his hand to stop Kaguya Kimimaro's movements, jumped down, looked at Hattori Hirakawa and chuckled. "Ha, this is an old friend of mine." "Yes." Kaguya Kimimaro retracted his fingers and humbly stepped aside. It was he who used 10 fingers to penetrate bullets and directly killed several Rain Ninjas. Konan frowned, looked at the Rain Ninja below with doubts, and asked softly, "Naraku, have you seen him?" "Well, the last time we met," Uehara Naraku introduced Hattori Hirakawa. "Last time, when he and Konan went to kill the salamander, they happened to meet the ninja troops led by Hattori Hirakawa, and they were easily defeated by Uehara." This Jonin with the title of Rain Hidden Thorn exchanged his own life and the lives of 2 genin from Uehara with a copy of Intimate Paradise. "Is this the person who gave you that obscene novel?" Konan's eyes flashed. She worked hard to arrange a bright future for Uehara, but she didn't want to see any stains on her disciple. Uehara Naraku couldn't help but look up at Konan and wanted to remind her that it was a book written by your teacher. The angry Konan obviously ignored this question. He looked down at them and whispered, "Kill him, Naraku. HMM." Uehara Naraku sighed helplessly, squatted down and looked at Hattori Hirakawa and said, "Sorry, my teacher is here. I'm afraid your luck this time." Hattori Hirakawa interrupted Uehara Naraku and whispered, "I have a set of Intimate Paradise here, both upper and lower volumes." The atmosphere suddenly became a little weird. This senior ninja from the Hidden Rain village wanted to use a set of Intimate Paradise in exchange for Uehara Naraku letting him go. It's a pity that he was careless this time. If it was just Uehara Naraku himself, and it had nothing to do with the overall situation, Uehara Naraku would really spare his life and let him go back to continue to intimidate Hanzo. But this time, Conan is still watching on the cliff. Uehara Naraku was in a bad mood. "What do you mean? Who do you think I am?" Hattori Hirakawa gave Uehara Naraku a hidden look. The Intimate Paradise series is a treasure that ninjas always have. Those who understand will understand. Uehara was immediately in a state of hesitation. There are still a few side quests in the Intimate Paradise series, but you must collect both volumes, and Hattori Hirakawa happened to have them all. If Hattori Hirakawa is killed, the book will definitely be confiscated and destroyed by Conan. Uehara Naraku looked at Hattori Hirakawa deeply and said softly, "If I want to spare your life, this price is not enough. If you have information about Salamander Hanzo, I will never betray Lord Hanzo." Hattori Hirakawa rejected Uehara's request with a firm face, but the next moment he seemed to think of something, lowered his head, and said in a deep voice, "If you are willing to do one thing, I can tell you the information about Hanzo's right-hand man, Salamander Kamata. We are not interested in small shrimps." Uehara Naraku waved his hand. "Except for Salamander Hanzo, the other ninjas in the Hidden Rain village are not worth worrying about. They are all small fish and shrimps." Hattori Hirakawa was silent for a while, and whispered, "What if this matter is related to the survival of your Akatsuki organization?" Huh? Uehara Naraku laughed immediately. "Related to the survival of Akatsuki? You think too much. Those who have the ability to destroy Akatsuki are still studying in the ninja school." Hattori Hirakawa did not understand what Uehara Naraku meant. After all, according to common sense, shouldn't it be said that those who can destroy Akatsuki have not been born yet? But Hattori Hirakawa didn't want to think about it. He just lowered his head and said, "What if I said that Hanzo wants to unite with Konoha Shimura Danzo?" Uehara Naraku's eyes tightened. He slowly lowered his head and looked into Hattori Hirakawa's eyes and said coldly, "My teacher and I are very interested in this information. But I want to know more. Why did you leak this information to me?" So far, all the Rain Ninjas that Uehara Naraku has met are loyal to their leader, Hanzo of the Salamander, even at the cost of their lives. The information about Shimura Danzo and Salamander Hanzo's reunion should be top secret in the Hidden Rain village, right? Hattori Hirakawa's eyes were red, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Because during the Ninja World War, my parents were killed by Konoha ninjas. Hanzo could easily kill you, but he chose to collude with Konoha. I'm sorry." Uehara Naraku automatically ignored the second half of the sentence, sighed and said, "But I want to know if you have any evidence to prove this." Thank you Star Story 666 and Storm Sword for your awards. Thank you Let's Eat Together Baby for your awards. No. Chapter 67. There's something fishy about this demigod. War always leaves scars. Back then, Konoha Village, Iwagakure Village, and Sand Village used the Land of Rain as their battlefield, and countless innocent people died. Nagato's parents died at the hands of Konoha ninjas. After so many years, even after Jiraiya's teachings, Nagato still couldn't forget the hatred of his parents, not to mention Hattori Hirakawa, an ordinary jounin of the Hidden Rain. If Hanzo-sama wanted to destroy the Akatsuki organization, I would have given my life for his order, but he chose to unite with the Konoha ninjas. Hattori Hirakawa clenched his fists in hatred and continued in a deep voice, "When Hanzo-sama and Konoha Shimura Danzo jointly eliminated the Akatsuki organization, I left the village and gave up following him because I couldn't accept cooperating with the Konoha ninjas. Fortunately, you didn't go at that time." Uehara Naraku sighed slowly. If Hattori Hirakawa had participated in the elimination of the first generation of Akatsuki organization, he probably wouldn't have escaped the fate of being slaughtered by the furious Nagato, right? But, Uehara Naraku suddenly looked at the furious Hattori Hirakawa and whispered, "You said so much, do you have any evidence?" "Of course there is." Hattori Hirakawa nodded and continued in a deep voice, "Salamander Kamada is known as the right-hand man of Hanzo. That bastard will arrive at the Eastern Canyon tomorrow, where he will contact the Konoha ninjas. I just wanted to lead you there, to get rid of them. Interesting. Uehara Naraku curled the corners of his mouth, patted Hattori Hirakawa on the shoulder and said, I hope what you said is true. If there is any conspiracy, it's useless. I will go to pick them up tomorrow. Hattori Hirakawa shook his head and said in a deep voice, this matter is not a special secret, but only the Jonin team knows this news, because Hanzo-sama asked us to be responsible for protecting the safety of the bastard Salamander Kamada when he meets with the Konoha ninjas. Well, Uehara Naraku nodded and whispered, then wait until this matter is over, and then give me that set of intimate paradise. I understand. Hattori Hirakawa suddenly showed a lewd smile. Uehara Naraku couldn't help but curled his lips. You know shit. After Konan learned the news from Uehara Naraku, although she was still a little entangled, she reluctantly agreed to spare Hattori Hirakawa's life under the persuasion of her disciples. After all, this was the first rain ninja they met who was willing to cooperate. Regardless of whether Hattori Hirakawa said it was true or false, there was something that could be manipulated. If what Hattori Hirakawa said was true, Konan and Nagato would still be very interested in killing two enemies, Shimura Danzo and Salamander Hanzo, in one fell swoop. If what Hattori Hirakawa said was false, even if he hid some conspiracy, it would be useless in the face of absolute strength. Konan and Uehara Naraku finalized the plan. Since Hattori Hirakawa's subordinates had all died in battle, their team would pretend to be Hattori Hirakawa's subordinates and attend this meeting. The only problem is, Konan looked around at the members of his team, frowned and said, Naraku, what do you think we should do? Can this group of little puddings pretend to be adult ninjas? Uehara Naraku, 12 years old, 165 cm tall. Bei, 11 years old, 150 cm tall. Kaguya Kimimaro, 10 years old, 155 cm tall. After all, maintaining the transformation technique for a long time is a technical job. Uehara Naraku's body shape is okay, but what if Kaguya Kimimaro and Bei are exposed? Then only the teacher and I can go. Uehara Naraku smiled, looked at Kaguya Kimimaro and Bei, and said softly, and if something goes wrong, the teacher and I can escape at any time. Eastern Canyon. This is the meeting place of the Rain Hidden Ninja and the Konoha Ninja. Soon, the Rain Hidden Ninjas arrived here one after another. At noon, there were more than 30 ninjas gathered here. There were 7 or 8 Jonins alone. Uehara Naraku and Konan, wearing hoods and special gas masks made by the Hidden Rain Village, followed Hattori Hirakawa and looked at the situation. Even if they didn't get any confirmed information, just killing all the missions loyal to Hanzo of the Salamander could be considered a successful operation. As time gradually approached, the Rain Ninjas gathered here began to quarrel, and several leading Jonin captains were obviously a little anxious and impatient. Why did that bastard Jinda come here? That rubbish must have arrived here at the last minute. Humph, if that bastard wasn't a member of Hanzo's clan, I would definitely chop that bastard into 7 or 8 pieces. Who made Hanzo trust him? Most of these hidden Rain Ninjas were furious and cursed directly, not caring at all that the person they were protecting was a high-ranking official of the Hidden Rain Village. Uehara Naraku heard someone start to greet the wife of the Salamander Kamada, and couldn't help asking, Hirakawa, isn't Salamander Kamada the right hand of Hanzo? Why does it feel like he has a bad reputation in the Hidden Rain Village? Not very good. Hattori Hirakawa's face flashed a gloomy, and he said in a cold voice, their scolding is really too polite. Kamada, that rubbish, holds great power. He always kills innocent ninjas and civilians in the village in the name of Hidden Rain Village, and frames them as spies. The captains of the Jonin here basically have their relatives and friends killed under his butcher knife. Uehara Naraku blinked in confusion. Isn't this Salamander Kamada a Shimura Danzo type figure of the Hidden Rain Village? Hattori Hirakawa continued to add, if that bastard really did it for the Hidden Rain Village, it would be fine, but everything he did was actually to make money for himself, so that he could enjoy a luxurious life. It turns out that this guy's not as good as Shimura Danzo. Konan asked curiously, will Hanzo just sit there and watch his own people harm the interests of the Hidden Rain Village? So what? Hattori Hirakawa shook his head and sighed softly, because he is the most outstanding ninja among Hanzo's people, so Hanzo's most trusted person is him. This is normal. After all, when the third Hokage of Konoha in the Land of Fire arranged personnel, he also arranged his own people to the most critical positions first. It is said that the leader of Konoha Zenbu is the eldest son and daughter-in-law of the third Hokage, and the Hokage assistant and Hokage advisor are old friends of Sarutobi Hiruzen who grew up together. Hanzo of the Salamander probably couldn't pick out a suitable and trustworthy person to do some secret private matters, so he could only pick out a tall person from among the short people and pick out a Salamander Kamada from his own people. Hattori Hirakawa continued to say bitterly, it is said that this time, the matter of continuing to unite with Shimura Danzo of Konoha was proposed by that idiot Shenda. Hanzo-sama is a ninja demigod, why should he unite with those bastards of Konoha? Uehara Naraku spread his hands and said helplessly, maybe you praised Hanzo of the Salamander too much. Maybe Hanzo himself knows it. In order to avoid Hattori Hirakawa's rage disrupting the plan, Uehara Naraku did not say a word. The demigod of the Salamander Hanzo is actually a water. Because not many people in this era have really seen the strength of Hashirama Senju, so everyone thinks that the power of the Salamander Hanzo is the ninja closest to Hashirama Senju, and calls the Salamander Hanzo a ninja demigod. Because not many people in this era have really seen Uchiha Madara's Susanoo, the Raikage of that year was also called the strongest defense and the strongest offense. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen can get the title of the strongest Hokage. When Uehara Naraku was still daydreaming, Zayanan suddenly stretched out his hand and grasped his fingers, whispering to remind him, Uehara, they are coming. Thanks to the book friend 202006111906399942 for the reward. Thanks to Yuanji27 for the reward. ZZZ. Chapter 68 Don't be impulsive, teacher. After hearing Zayanan's reminder, Uehara Naraku collected his thoughts and looked up at the two teams of ninjas that appeared in the canyon. One of the teams wore hidden forehead protectors, and the leading ninja had a red mark on his face, which looked a bit ferocious and fierce. It should be the so-called Hanzo's right-handed Salamander Kamada. The other team of ninjas all wore animal masks and standard equipment, which seemed to be more orderly than the rain-hidden ninjas. Is that the root of Konoha? Uehara Naraku quietly opened the Fade skill, wanting to check if there were anyone he knew among these Konoha ninjas. When the Fade skill was opened, Uehara Naraku's expression changed suddenly. There is a familiar avatar among the ninjas of the root of Konoha, and it seems to be called Yamanaka Feng. But why did this guy Zetsu also appear in this area? This guy has a conspiracy. Under the ground of the negotiation area, Black Zetsu said sinisterly, Konan has taken that brat Uehara to ambush them. As long as we wait for them to fight fiercely, we will take this opportunity to secretly hide the information on a certain ninja. Will there be any problems? White Zetsu said hesitantly, what if Konan can't defeat them? Or we are accidentally discovered? Black Zetsu didn't want to pay attention to it. It's a pity that the two of them share the same body. Even if the other half of the body is mentally retarded, Black Zetsu still has to comfort him. Don't worry, Konan's power is not too weak. Moreover, even Uehara Naraku can summon Tendo Pain. How could Konan not learn how to summon pain? Black Zetsu even had a feeling in his heart that Konan had never cared about other members of the Akatsuki organization. Perhaps it can be speculated that Konan thought that her power exceeded these people. According to Black Zetsu's own analysis of Konan's intelligence, this blue-haired woman doesn't seem like the kind of arrogant person. If even she herself thinks that she can defeat other members of Akatsuki, it means that she really has that kind of power. Black Zetsu's guess is not wrong. Konan was indeed very confident in his own strength. When Konan saw that Uehara Naraku looked different, he gently patted his arm and comforted him. Naraku, what's wrong? Don't be afraid, I'm here for everything. Uehara Naraku shook his head speechlessly. Why did Konan think he would be afraid? After all, he was a ninja with a little bit of strength. Did his teacher still think that he was able to escape from the mission in the Hidden Mist Village because of the 100 million detonating tags? Uehara Naraku is very strong now. However, seeing Konan's actions to comfort him, Uehara Naraku still reluctantly leaned over to Konan and whispered, Teacher, let's take a look at their negotiation results first. I feel that this group of ninjas is a bit weird. Yeah. Konan nodded. To be honest, Conan really thought that Uehara was frightened by so many ninjas who gathered together. After all, the enemies they faced were different from the past. Compared with those ninjas who were slacking off in the strongholds, most of these were elite ninjas, and there were some Jonin captains. Jonin just happened to be the vaguest concept in this ninja world. Who dared to treat the 3 ninjas of Konoha and Golden Flash as ordinary Jonins? 1 against 7, 1 against 10. Golden Flash could defeat 50 Jonins without any injuries. Hattori Hirakawa looked down and saw the arrival of the root ninja. He held the ninja sword in his hand and asked, "Aren't you going to do it now?" Uehara, Naraku and Conan looked at Hattori Hirakawa as if he was mentally retarded. To be a little sorry for Hattori Hirakawa, Conan should be the one who wanted Hanzo and Danzo to unite the most among all the people present. In this way, she and Nagato can catch all the enemies in the past. Obviously, things did not develop as Conan wished. As time went on, the negotiations between the Yamanaka Kabuki of the Hidden Rain Village and the captain of the Konoha route force, Yamanaka Feng, seemed to be at a stalemate. After a while, the two actually quarreled. The argument between the two became louder and louder. The Yamanaka Kabuki and Yamanaka Feng each retreated and shouted, "Everyone is alert." Clang. The sound of ninja swords being unsheathed continued. Rain ninjas appeared one after another and stood on the canyon. However, a group of Konoha ninjas suddenly appeared on the other side of the canyon, watching this place vigilantly and confronting the rain ninjas. Neither side trusted the other particularly. Yamanaka Feng looked at the Salamander Kamada and shouted, "The Hidden Rain Village has lost its credibility. You don't have the sincerity of the alliance at all. It's obviously you Konoha ninjas who want to shirk responsibility." The Salamander Kamada did not show any weakness and accused loudly, "If it weren't for Shimura Danzo and the Konoha ninjas escaping from the battlefield, the Akatsuki would have been destroyed long ago." The two of them quickly accused and shirked responsibility fiercely. In fact, this is just a basic routine for the two sides to negotiate. They want to hold the other party responsible for the last cooperation, so as to gain an advantage in this negotiation as a victim. The conditions proposed by the root ninja of Konoha are, Hands of the Salamander must first support Danzo Shimura to become the Hokage of Konoha. At that time, he will send out ninja troops as the Hokage of Konoha to support Hands of the Salamander, to eliminate the Akatsuki organization of the Rain Country. The conditions proposed by the Hidden Rain Ninja are, Danzo Shimura must send people to support Hands of the Salamander, to eliminate the Akatsuki organization first, and then discuss how to support Danzo to become the Hokage. Everyone is a bit like trying to get something for nothing. The root ninja of Konoha suffered a loss in the last cooperation. Danzo Shimura clearly brought people to help, but Hands of the Salamander refused to admit it. So Danzo instructed his subordinates that the premise of this cooperation is that Hands of the Salamander must first make his attitude clear, to stand up for himself. As long as the Hidden Rain Village and Konoha reach a friendly alliance, using the influence of a ninja demigod, to try to change the attitude of the Konoha high level, the Hidden Rain Ninja is naturally not very happy. Who knows when Danzo Shimura can become Hokage? Is it not possible to cooperate like the last time? The root of Konoha came forward to assist the Hidden Rain Village in destroying the Akatsuki organization. After the Akatsuki organization is successfully destroyed, Master Hanzo will naturally support Danzo. The first round of talks between the two sides will definitely not be so easy to reach. Looking at the two parties who were scolding and accusing each other, Conan felt a little unhappy and asked, "Naraku, what's going on? Did they break down in the talks?" Obviously. Uehara Naraku nodded. Conan couldn't help but frowned. His face was slightly dark, and he said, "Is Shimura Danzo not coming?" "Not coming?" Uehara Naraku was also a little confused. According to his memory, it seems that Shimura Danzo and Salamander Hanzo only cooperated once, and until Salamander Hanzo was killed by Peen, there was no sign of Danzo. What are we waiting for? Conan's face sank, and he gritted his teeth and whispered, "Then let's kill everyone present first, and collect some interest." Uehara Naraku looked at his teacher in confusion. But this did not affect Uehara's judgment. Seeing that Conan was about to rush out, Uehara Naraku quickly grabbed Conan's wrist and pulled her back to his side. "Teacher, don't be impulsive. Uehara and Naraku hurriedly held down Conan, stared at her puzzled eyes, and explained softly, "Teacher, observe the situation first. Maybe we can try other plans. If nothing else, at least we can't let the conspiracy of Black Zetsu lurking outside succeed, just because of a little interest." Although Uehara doesn't know what conspiracy Black Zetsu has. But, as a person who wants to seize the position of Akatsuki's movie emperor and the mastermind behind the scenes, disrupting the plans of competitors is the most important thing. You can send it to be read. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Yamanaka Wind and the Root Ninjas. Two people who can't make decisions will definitely not come to a conclusion. Salamander Kamada and Yamanaka Case couldn't make decisions for the people behind them, and the two sides quickly decided to temporarily end the meeting. The meeting between the root of Konoha and the Hidden Rain village seemed to have collapsed. "Naraku, the people of Konoha are leaving." Conan lowered her head and glanced at the Konoha ninjas who were retreating in an orderly manner, with some anxiety on her face. Zetsu, who was hiding underground, was also a little anxious. Uehara and Naraku secretly opened the fade skill that had been cooled down to observe the situation around him. Zetsu was still squatting. "Test that insidious guy?" Uehara and Naraku glanced at the root ninjas who were going away and whispered, "Teacher, let's go after the root ninjas of Konoha first." After he and Conan left, if Zetsu was still following them, it meant that there was something wrong. If there was no problem with Zetsu, then complete a few tasks against the root ninjas. By the way, as the darkest organization in the ninja world, Shimura Danzo and the root ninjas obviously received a lot of malicious intent, so they also had a lot of missions. This wave shouldn't be too bad. Okay. Conan agreed with Uehara's opinion, and reminded him, when chasing them, leave one alive, and see if you can get information about Danzo. But, Uehara and Naraku frowned and said hesitantly, "These Konoha ninjas are elites, and I don't think they will betray their superiors." "Yeah." Conan nodded and said softly, "But it doesn't matter. I'll explain to you after I catch them." She must want to summon Human Pathpeen. Human Pathpeen has the heart layer submergence technique, which can often collect all the information in a person's brain. Human Path is only useful for this. If it's not to collect intelligence, it can only act as a close-range meat shield scapegoat like Shura Pathpeen. "I'll go with you." Hattori Hirakawa hurriedly grabbed the ninja sword and followed them. If the Rain Ninja was attacked, Hattori Hirakawa would definitely show an attitude of dying rather than surrendering, but for the ambush in pursuit of Konoha Ninja, Hattori Hirakawa was willing to take the initiative to cooperate. Uehara, Naraku and Conan couldn't help but glance at him again. Does this guy think he is so strong that he can be used in battle? Hattori Hirakawa understood their eyes and muttered dissatisfiedly, "Anyway, I'm also a Jonin." "Jonin?" Uehara Naraku complained faintly, "I just want to test my strength with a few Jonin recently." Hattori Hirakawa. Conan tapped Uehara Naraku's head with his fingers and chuckled. "Okay, then take him with you. After all, it's rare to meet a Rain Ninja who is willing to cooperate." Conan and Nagato want to kill Hanzo of the Salamander. In addition to revenge, they also want to rule their hometown, the Rain Country, and make their hometown better. Therefore, those ninjas loyal to Hanzo will become a big trouble for them to govern the Rain Country in the future. It is for this reason that Conan and Uehara have been attacking the Hidden Rain stronghold, creating terror for Akatsuki, forcing Hanzo to gather his confidants to protect him, and thus destroying them all. Hattori Hirakawa is not very strong, but he also carries pain on his body, and has already shown signs of dissatisfaction with Hanzo. He can be spared. After all, the Land of Rain is a small country, and there are not many Jonin. Conan and Nagato are both very aware that the Land of Rain is weak and has few talents, and ninjas from other countries obviously look down on the Hidden Rain Ninja. For example, the Konoha ninjas who just evacuated the canyon. Yamanaka Feng led his subordinates to hide in a stone cave. He was writing the process of his first contact with the Hidden Rain Ninja, and planned to send someone to Konoha in a while. Who do those Rain Ninjas think they are? A root ninja finally couldn't hold back and cursed. Although the route has never been well known, its power in Konoha is quite large, and they even dare to attack and kill the Anbu ninjas. The Hidden Rain village is just a small ninja village. During the war years, it was regarded as a battlefield by the big countries. The group of rain ninjas wanted to reach a cooperation with the route, but they wanted them to take a step back first. After all, the leader of the Hidden Rain village is Hands of the Salamander. Shan Zanfeng paused the pen in his hand and persuaded softly, Lord Danzo cannot leave the village for the time being. The task of the meeting can only be handed over to us to complete. Forbearance for the time being, everything is based on the task. Yes, Captain. Except for the necessary patrol and reconnaissance personnel, others should avoid going out. Shan Zanfeng tapped the table with his fingers lightly and whispered, during this period of time, we will wait here for the order of Lord Danzo. Don't provoke in the territory of the Rain Country. You must not lose the big picture because of the small enemy attack. A panicked voice came from the cave. Before Shan Zanfeng and his group of Konoha ninjas had time to react, a deafening bombing sounded. Boom. The whole mountain seemed to be destroyed by the explosion. Shan Zanfeng felt the ground shaking beneath his feet, and the rocks rolled down, forcing them to have nowhere to hide. Earth Escape Rock Pillar Prison. Several root ninjas quickly formed seals and released Earth Escape ninjutsu to support the cave from collapsing. One of the perception ninjas observed for a while and said in a deep voice, Captain, the wall of this mountain is not thick. As long as a gap is opened, we can escape. Wind Escape Vacuum Slash. Several other ninjas who are good at wind escape formed seals and released Wind Escape ninjutsu, opening a gap to the outside world. After a group of root ninjas jumped out, the environment outside had already changed drastically, and the surprise on their faces could no longer be concealed. What is going on? If I remember correctly, Shan Zanfeng's eyes were slightly stagnant. He looked at the scattered sand and gravel, and gradually a drop of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. When we came here just now, this should be a mountain, right? Where is there any mountain here now? In addition to the cave where they just landed, it has become a ruin, and the whole hill has been blown away inexplicably. Captain, there are people. Several figures stood on a rock. A blue-haired woman stood on the rock, and beside her stood several teenagers of different heights, and at the edge was a shivering ordinary rain ninja. It was Conan, Uehara, Naraku and others. Looking at the appearance of the group of Konoha ninjas, Uehara and Naraku sighed. After the bombing of 1 million detonating tags, there are still so many people alive. Is this the strength of Konoha ninjas? Ahem. Conan coughed lightly a few times, and her face couldn't help but blush. Because she just spread the detonating tags randomly, the coverage was too wide, and the detonating tags were too scattered, and the power of the detonating tag array was not exerted at all. The whole mountain was indeed blown away. But the Konoha ninjas hiding in the cave survived. But what they wanted originally was the Konoha ninjas alive. Xiaonan calmly spread out her palms, and 2 paper wings slowly gathered behind her, driving her into the air. Okay, Naraku, let's get started. Thanks to KIHJL, KN for the reward. Thanks to Let's Eat Together Baby and Yuan G27 for the reward. Thanks to Wuxing for the reward. Chapter 70. If light is that fast, why can't it hit the ninja? This was the first time that Uehara Naraku saw Conan take action. In the air, Conan was like a dancer floating on the battlefield. She turned pieces of origami into rain of paper and flew out from the paper wings behind her. Several of the root ninjas were caught off guard and were shot through by the rain of paper in an instant, with blood splashing out instantly. Earth style, earth flow wall. An earth wall rose from the ground and hurriedly blocked the rain of paper. However, the thickness of this earth wall did not seem to be able to resist the rain of paper for too long. Perhaps it would be directly destroyed by the rain of paper in just a few seconds. Disperse. Yamanaka Fengli shouted and jumped to the side. The other ninjas followed his orders and looked for safe positions. The next moment, the defense of the earth flow wall was completely destroyed by the rain of paper. Fire style, great fireball technique. Wind style, great breakthrough technique. The 2 root ninjas took the lead in launching a counterattack against Conan. The combination of wind style and fire style set off a wave of flames that rushed into the sky, forcing Conan to fly up to avoid the blazing waves of fire. Shan Zanfeng looked at Uehara and others who were rushing over and pointed at Xiaonan in the air. Team 17, 18, and 20, follow me to deal with the enemies in the air, and team 15 and 16 will deal with those little ghosts. The Konoha ninjas did not hesitate to hear the order and instantly dispersed to meet their targets. Yes, Captain. Wind style, wind blowing cut. Wind style, vacuum jade. Wind style, vacuum continuous slash. One by one, the root ninjas took turns to release ninjutsu. In just a few seconds, they relied on the number advantage of ninjutsu to temporarily suppress Xiaonan's offensive. Shan Zanfeng saw that the time was right, closed his palms, and aimed at Xiaonan's figure little by little, intending to use the family secret technique of heart turning to get rid of her. While they were still barely able to hold on, the two teams of ninjas responsible for dealing with Uehara and Naraku on the other side fell into a catastrophe. Thunder style, 10,000 thunder prison induction. Uehara and Naraku spread out a thundercloud storm in his hand, opened his most mature skills, and crashed into the two teams of root ninjas head on. The two teams of ninjas from Team 15 and Team 16 that were fighting against Uehara's lightning release ninjutsu each dispersed. They didn't care at first and just used the substitution technique or the clone technique to counter the lightning attack. There was even a ninja who couldn't dodge in time and was hit by lightning, and he was a little disdainful of the power of lightning. Don't worry, the power of the technique is very small. The strong root ninja just opened his mouth and another lightning struck him. He continued, don't worry, the power of the technique is very small. Sizzle. The third lightning struck him. The tall ninja fell to the ground in an instant, his whole body stiffened, unable to move. The man who was still arrogant at first had no power to resist and could only let the lightning strike him one by one. After a few seconds, he was silent. Everyone, what's going on? Arrogance for only 3 seconds? If the root ninjas didn't know that their teammates wouldn't betray them, and they had personally experienced Uehara and Naraku's lightning release ninjutsu, they would have suspected that the guy was a spy. If you pass on false information on the battlefield, you must die to apologize. Especially this kind of fatal information. Don't underestimate any enemy. Uehara and Naraku stood under the thunderstorm, looking down at the two teams of Konoha ninjas, and chuckled as he continued, a powerful ninja like me never let down my guard when fighting you, so why do you underestimate me? What a weird statement. But the root members of Konoha didn't have time to argue with Uehara and Naraku. They were still avoiding the attacks of the 10,000 thunder prison, trying to get out of trouble. Earth release, heavens falling cover. Earth release, rock pillar prison. A huge strange pot lid appeared out of thin air above the heads of many root ninjas, and several thick rock pillars supported the pot lid, helping them block the attack of lightning. As expected of a subordinate of Shimura Danzo, you are so skilled at taking the blame. Uehara's mouth curled up with a smile, and the next moment his smile disappeared, and he put his palms together to form a set of beautiful hand seals. Water style, roaring waves. The raging waves swept in. Earth style, earth flow wall. A thick earth wall suddenly rose up to block the waves. The two root ninja teams fought back and forth with Uehara and Naraku. Facing Uehara and Naraku's surprise attack, they finally felt that they had stabilized the situation. However, that childish but devilish voice rang in their ears again. There is no dog head carved on the earth flow wall. I will definitely give it a bad review. Boom. The sound of the detonating tag exploding rang in their ears. The originally thick earth wall cracked inch by inch. The raging waves immediately swept all the root ninjas, and lightning struck them one after another, and the two teams of root ninjas were instantly wiped out. After all the root ninjas were silent, the huge pot lid of the skyfall lid technique fell to the ground with a thud, stirring up countless mud. After Uehara Naraku dealt with his enemies, he began to look through his system panel. Several task progress updates were made. Advanced task, kill 10 official Jonin, 3/10. The reward is unknown. Side task, eliminate a team of Konoha root members, 1/1. The task has been completed, and the reward skill is Speechless Fear. Speechless Fear, use chakra to create a nightmare and implant it into the enemy's brain, making an enemy experience the most terrifying nightmare in his life within 2 seconds, consuming 60 chakra points, and the cooldown time is 10 seconds. Uehara Naraku was a little surprised when he saw the skill of Speechless Fear. Did he get a skill to control illusions? It's a bit strange. Just by looking at it, it feels that this skill may cause more mental damage to the enemy than Uchiha Itachi's Tsukuyomi, and it has a wider range of applications and people. After all, Uchiha Itachi only knew what his brother feared the most, so his Tsukuyomi not only bullied his brother and made him experience the night of genocide again and again, but when facing other people, Uchiha Itachi could only tie people to the cross and stab them with a knife. But the silent fear that Uehara Naraku just got, it was like digging open the deepest wound in a person's heart and rubbing salt on it. No matter who it is, there will always be something to fear, right? For example, Uchiha Obito, his biggest fear should be the death of Nohara. For example, Black Zetsu, his biggest fear should be that he could never save Kaguya Otsutsuki. Uehara Naraku felt a little comfortable. In the future, if he met the Uchiha clan who dared to use the Sharingan to release illusions to him, he would give them a nightmare in a flash. The real meaning of the silent fear skill is not great in combat. In fact, it is just used to torture people. Next is the last task that suddenly popped up. The task font is even purple, which means that this task is not simple. Hidden inheritance task. If light is so fast, why can't it illuminate ninjas? Say a correct name. 0/1. Obviously this clue is related to ninjas. This was the first strange task that Uehara had ever seen. When Uehara Naraku saw that sentence, the first thing that came to his mind was a similar words that Danzo said, "You are Konoha bathed in the sun, and I'm the root buried deep in the darkness." Shimura Danzo. Uehara Naraku said the name confidently. He was even ready to accept the ninjutsu that Shimura Danzo was good at. Even if he didn't have Izanagi and the like, he should at least have a set of wind escape ninjutsu, right? The system didn't respond. Uehara Naraku was silent for a while, then changed his mind and spoke. Shadow Master G, Twilight Aishen, Black Sheep. When he said the second name, the system panel gave a prompt. The task was completed, and the hero inheritance was opened. 4 skills appeared in the task list. Secret. Duskblade summons a chakra soul blade and can manipulate it to attack, consuming 2 points of chakra per second. Secret. Soul protection. Activate a defensive barrier through soul blade. For 2 seconds, teammates in the defensive barrier will not be harmed. Consume 40% of your own chakra and cool down for 15 seconds. Secret. Shadow binding. Launch an unstoppable sprint in a certain direction, consuming 150 chakra points and cooling down for 15 seconds. Secret. Merciful Soulful. Skill acquisition is repeated and has been folded. Please recommend. Finally let Uehara come up with a combat weapon. The original outline was to wait until the task of the 7 ninja swordsmen was completed and then reward a sentence. Do you want to dance too? Now Liu Shen's Duskblade Lightsword. Thanks to the book friend 2020072410461040 for the reward. Thanks to the old bookworm who hates the love line between men and women for the reward. Thanks to QIU Feng Q for the reward. Thanks to Yuan Hengwei Kan for the reward. Chapter 71 Who asked you to save me? Secret. Duskblade. Uehara Naraku slowly spread out his palm, and a broad purple chakra light blade appeared beside Uehara, looking crystal clear yet extremely sharp. A bit likable. A group of determined Konoha root ninjas died at the hands of Uehara Naraku, but it led to a richly rewarded inheritance mission for him. What is a surprise? This is a surprise. But now is not the time to celebrate, because Conan's battle is not over yet, although Uehara believes that the battle is not far from over. How can this group of Konoha root ninjas compete with Conan? Destiny. Uehara Naraku murmured in a low voice, and on the destiny panel, Zetsu's avatar really appeared here. Zetsu is still following them. What conspiracy does this guy have? It's a pity that Zetsu is still hiding underground. I don't know what he wants to do. Is it just to monitor them? Underground. White Zetsu sensed the battle above and said quietly, that little guy Uehara Naraku finished the battle too quickly. He killed 2 teams of ninjas in less than half a minute. If we get out now, he will find us, right? No hurry. Black Zetsu sighed and said, wait a little longer. When the battle is a little chaotic, I will secretly put the intelligence scroll into a corpse. Since Zetsu didn't come out, Uehara Naraku couldn't just punch through the ground and take them out. He could only turn around to watch Conan's battle. Conan's figure danced in the air, dodging one ninjutsu and long-range ninja till after another, and fell towards the position of the Konoha ninja. Uehara actually thought it was a bit beautiful. No wonder Uchiha Madara shouted to dance every day. Some ninjas are much more beautiful when they fight than dancing. Heart-turning technique. Just at this moment, Yamanaka Feng, who was hiding in the corner to observe the battle, suddenly found an opportunity. He suddenly aimed at the flying Conan with his hands together. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. The next second, the situation reversed. There are always some strange secret techniques in the ninja world, which can complete a shocking reversal in desperate situations, and can defeat the strong with the weak. Xiaonan in the air suddenly fell straight down. The Yamanaka clan's mind-turning technique, as long as it hits, immediately deprives the enemy of control over the body. People with strong spiritual energy can also control the enemy's body. The teacher has overturned. Uehara Naraku saw this scene, and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. His body flew into the air, and rushed towards Xiaonan, trying to catch her from the air. Unexpectedly, when Uehara embraced Xiaonan, Xiaonan opened her eyes, looked directly at Uehara Naraku and roared, "You guys, don't underestimate the ninjas of Konoha." A paper spear suddenly sprang out of Xiaonan's hand, and stabbed Uehara's chest. Xiaonan was controlled by the mind-turning technique. Uehara was shocked, and subconsciously wanted to activate the invincibility of the moment of the Holy Judgment, to block this sneak attack, and then punch the blue-haired woman next to him. He has too many skills to deal with this situation. However, thinking of Xiaonan's attitude towards him, Uehara's palm felt the warmth and softness of Xiaonan's waist, gritted his teeth to avoid the fatal point of the paper spear, and let the paper spear pierce his shoulder. Even if he accidentally hurt him in the battle, a teacher would definitely not refuse his disciple's request under the guilt of his heart, right? Since ancient times, deep affection cannot be retained, only routines can win people's hearts. Uehara Naraku sighed in his heart, who made Xiaonan so strict with him? With the injury on his shoulder, should he exchange it for a red cloud black robe? Or in exchange for the right to watch the intimate paradise freely? Only children do multiple choice questions. Uehara Naraku certainly chooses to have it all. Yamanaka Feng's heart-turning technique cannot last for too long, especially since the power of Xiaonan he chose to control far exceeded his expectations. Xiaonan woke up quickly. After the woman's eyes regained clarity, her body did not move at all, allowing Uehara Naraku to hold her and land on the ground. After the two landed safely, Conan's eyes slowly moved, passing over the forced smile on Uehara Naraku's face, and fell on the wound on Uehara's shoulder caused by the paper spear. The blue-haired woman's eyes gradually became complicated. Was it guilt? Was it heartache? No, it was fear. The next moment. Who asked you to risk your life to save me? Conan suddenly raised her palm. She was about to slap Uehara in the face. Teacher Conan? Uehara Naraku looked at Conan's actions in confusion and trance. Why didn't he understand this plot development? He obviously risked his life to save her. Not to mention giving him a comforting position. At least he should comfort him with soft words. The next second, Conan stopped what he was doing, slowly squatted down, and hugged Uehara Naraku's shoulders, tears falling from the corners of his eyes. I'm sorry. Wind style, wind blowing cut. Wind style, cutting air wave. The Konoha ninjas did not give up the opportunity at all, and shurikens and ninjutsu flew towards Uehara Naraku and Conan. Conan's body instantly turned into pieces of white paper, quickly forming a paper shield, blocking all the incoming wind-style ninjutsu and shurikens. The paper shield quickly dispersed again. Countless pieces of white paper flew, as if they were rolled up by the wind. Konoha's root ninjas were instantly surrounded by a circle of white paper. Die. Conan's angry voice was faintly visible in the white paper, and countless pieces of paper folded into paper shurikens, densely shooting at the group of root ninjas. In the circle, every Konoha ninja tried to defend in horror, but there were paper shurikens everywhere, and there was no room to dodge or defend. After each paper shuriken attacks, it will return to the circle, and the cycle will repeat over and over again. One by one, the paper shuriken pierced through the blood staining the enemy's body, and soon the entire circular paper formation turned into a blood red color. After a moment, these ninjas were silent. No, there was still one person alive. Yamanaka Feng. The captain of the Konoha Root Ninja, Shimura Danzo's close confidant, looked at the fluttering origami around him with fear and anxiety. How should I kill you? Xiaonan appeared in front of Yamanaka Feng with a gloomy voice. A paper spear appeared in her hand again, and she nailed Yamanaka Feng to the ground with force. Yamanaka Feng looked at the bodies of his companions around him, and a trace of fear and anger flashed across his face. His first thought was to bite his tongue to commit suicide. Crack. Yamanaka Feng's chin was shattered by Xiaonan's kick. Teacher, information. Uehara Naraku in the distance noticed this scene, and stopped the angry Xiaonan. Now Uehara is asking Bei to symbolically bandage his wound. If Bei's speed was a little slower, his injury might have healed. After all, the life energy of the berserker armor recovers very quickly. After hearing what Uehara said, Konan stopped moving, and her sanity gradually began to recover. I know. Konan breathed a sigh of relief, and the anger and fear in her heart gradually dissipated. She quickly closed her palms, and began to make seals. Ninjutsu summoning technique. Human path. A new week is here, please vote for me. Chapter 72. Where is the umbrella? After Human Path Peen came out, he looked around the surroundings, glanced at Konan, and then at Uehara Naraku, first confirming the safety of the two of them. Huh? Uehara is injured? Human Path Peen saw the wound on Uehara's shoulder. His brows immediately frowned, and said in a somewhat gloomy voice, Konan, what happened? There is not much chakra in this body, let's summon the spirit of heaven first. It's okay. Konan shook his head, and pointed to Yamanaka Feng on the ground. The enemy has been cleared out by us, now we need to get information about Danzo from his brain. Okay, I know. Human Path Peen nodded and picked up Yamanaka Feng on the ground. After Human Path Peen used the heart layer submergence technique to extract Yamanaka Feng's memory, his face looked a little bad, so he extracted Yamanaka Feng's soul and killed him directly. Konan asked softly, is there any information about Danzo? Yes, Danzo won't come to the Hidden Rain Village. Human Path Peen whispered the information he got. Humph, Hands of the Salamander may not know that Danzo has no intention of cooperating with him sincerely. The third Hokage of Konoha forbade him to leave Konoha, and Danzo Shimura could only send his subordinates to act. Danzo Shimura did want to unite with Hands of the Salamander recently, but his actions were restricted, so he handed over all the negotiations and alliance matters to this man named Yamanaka Feng. It seems to be a false alarm. A trace of frustration flashed across Konan's eyes, and he whispered, I thought we could get rid of Hanzo of the Salamander and Danzo Shimura at the same time this time. No, there is something else we gained. Human Path Peen said in a deep voice. In addition to uniting with Hanzo, these ninjas are also responsible for searching for the whereabouts of Uchiha Obito and trying to capture him back to Konoha. Although Uchiha Obito has hidden his identity, he is indeed a traitor. Then there is no need to recruit him again. Konan looked a little annoyed. She turned her head and glanced at Uehara Naraku, who was walking over. She continued, I warned them to stay away from Naraku, but Uchiha Obito wanted to kill Naraku just because his identity was exposed. I will kill him sooner or later. Teacher, I don't care. Uehara Naraku's expression was a little subtle. He looked down at the land under Konan and the human Wapeen's feet and said softly, as long as the teacher and Lord Yahiko want to do what they want, Obito-senpai, no matter what he does, I don't care. This was a bit of a green tea. Because Zetsu is hiding under this land, the underground Zetsu must be able to hear their conversation. After hearing what Uehara said, the underground Zetsu felt a little relieved. In their opinion, Nagato and Konan would probably go with the flow and accept Uchiha Obito's return. Unexpectedly, Konan's face changed instantly, and he said in a cold voice, Nagato, we shouldn't accept the guy who tried to hurt Naraku. Naraku is our family. Human Wapeen. He hasn't said anything yet, and he didn't even think about accepting Uchiha Obito again. However, in order to appease his grumpy friend, Human Peen sighed and said, forget it, after our mission is over, let Zetsu find a way to recruit Uchiha Obito, and then we will secretly ambush and kill him, okay? Okay. Konan's expression eased a lot. Uehara Naraku secretly praised himself. Underground Zetsu secretly scolded the three people above. Fortunately, they hid underground and eavesdropped for a while, otherwise how could they know that Nagato and Konan had such vicious thoughts? Are they still the two people who are easily deceived? Zetsu couldn't figure out what went wrong. This must be Uchiha Obito's fault. He shouldn't have attacked Uehara Naraku casually. Knowing that the little guy was Conan's disciple, he still wanted to kill him to silence him, and in the end he was almost killed by that kid. As expected of the rare last place of the Uchiha clan, Zetsu no longer needed to stay here. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu complained about Nagato and Conan for a few words, and then went to report the bad news to Uchiha Obito. On the ground, after the human path Pain and Conan resolved the disagreement about Uchiha Obito, they mentioned another piece of information, which was about the next meeting time with the Salamander Kamada. Conan planned to take this opportunity to get rid of Hanzo's right-hand Salamander Kamada and the rain ninja he brought. Human path Pain nodded, looked at Conan and Uehara Naraku and whispered, "If you encounter danger, just summon the heavenly path. I will be ready to accept your spiritual call at any time." I know. After human path Pain left, Conan's eyes slowly turned and stopped on Uehara Naraku. "Naraku, come with me. I have something to say to you." Uehara Naraku was confused. Kaguya Kimimaro, Shiro and Hattori Hirakawa saw the master and his apprentice walking away, and they stayed there with a blank look on their faces. This is a group of soy sauce. Conan seemed a little absent-minded when she walked. She walked in front of Uehara without saying a word, and even when a new heavy rain came, and the rain fell on her head, Conan did not react. A bamboo umbrella appeared above Conan's head. Uehara Naraku called her out, held the bamboo umbrella in his hand and pushed it, looking at her seriously and said, "Teacher, it's raining. Is it raining again?" Conan slowly raised her head, looking at the increasingly large raindrops falling on the ground. She finally said, "I won't leave. Let's talk here." "Okay." Uehara looked obedient. Conan's face was a little unhappy. She hesitated and looked at Uehara and said, "The way you fight today is very problematic. When I was in danger, what you should do was not to save me, but to run away, to save your own life. How is this possible?" Uehara Naraku shook his head quickly. Uehara probably understood what Conan was thinking. This was because many years ago, Yahiko and Nagato risked their lives to save her, but the tragedy ended with Yahiko committing suicide and Nagato becoming disabled. Did he go too far today? So was Conan actually scared? Yes, Conan was indeed scared. The iris on Conan's head trembled slightly, and her expression gradually became a little cold. "Naraku, I'm your teacher, and what I teach you is the most correct choice. Is that so?" Uehara Naraku curved his lips, and in this somewhat cold rain, he put on an innocent and warm smile. "I know, teacher." After seeing Conan nodded, Uehara Naraku's smile did not diminish, and he asked a soul-searching question. "If one day I encounter danger, or even lose my life, what will teacher Conan do?" "I won't let this happen again." Conan frowned and did not answer the question directly. Uehara Naraku continued to ask, "What if this is bound to happen? We can't guarantee how dangerous the enemy will be." Conan's face turned pale for a moment, and he stretched out his palm and took the umbrella from Uehara's hand little by little. Conan turned around and left with the bamboo umbrella, leaving Uehara in the rain. The blue-haired woman walked in the rain with an umbrella and said loudly, "If that situation really happens, I will leave you and escape alone." Uehara Naraku stood in the rain, watching Conan go away step by step. Uehara could understand that Conan said it in anger, but why did she take away his bamboo umbrella and let him get wet in the rain? The rain flowed down Uehara's hair and wet his clothes. Uehara slowly raised his head, and his voice was a little low, and was gradually drowned in the heavy rain. "If there is such a day, I hope you can really escape by yourself. But teacher, will you really do this?" The rain was getting heavier. Origami butterflies flew through the rain quickly and gathered around Uehara to form the figure of Conan. The woman stretched out her arms and hugged Uehara's neck with a painful look. Uehara Naraku sighed, and it seemed that his acting was too exaggerated. Uehara could only obediently embrace Conan's body, patted her back, and comforted her emotions. "Teacher Conan, where is our umbrella?" Thanks to Iwadaxt for the reward. Chapter 73, Ambush Hanzo. Conan moved her chin away from Uehara Naraku's shoulder. Her eyes were slightly puzzled. She didn't quite understand her disciple's train of thought. Her eyes seemed to ask Uehara, "Should we talk about the umbrella now?" Uehara Naraku stood on tiptoe and stretched out his palm, to rest on Conan's head, shielding her from the raindrops falling from the sky. Teacher, the rain is too heavy. Let's find a place to hide first. Okay. Conan could only nod. There is something very magical about the ninja world. If a ninja appears in the wild, the chance of finding a cave is very high, especially in a country like the Rain Country that often experiences wars. Kaguya Kimimaro, Shiro and Hattori Hirakawa hid in the cave. Uehara, Naraku and Conan sat at the entrance of the cave grilling fish and chatting about the story of the first generation of Akatsuki. For the first time, Conan told Uehara Naraku the truth of the year. When Akatsuki was at its peak, the number of ninjas even exceeded 100. At that time, we just wanted to use the power of Akatsuki to eliminate the war in the Rain Country and even the entire ninja world, so that people would understand the value of peace. However, this power was too weak for the entire ninja world, and we were all unknown little ninjas, and few people were willing to listen to our advice. It happened that at that time, there was a person who was also working hard to eliminate the war among the 5 major countries in the ninja world. In order to spread the beliefs of Akatsuki, we decided to join him. When Conan said this, there was a ball of fire in her eyes, and it was hard to tell whether it was anger or the reflection of the fire. While Conan continued to speak, she gathered the fire in front of her. His name is Hanzo of the Salamander, and he was also the most famous ninja at the time. The title of ninja demigod is indeed amazing. Uehara Naraku nodded and whispered to Conan, if I hadn't met Lord Yahiko and teacher Conan at the beginning, I would probably join the Hidden Rain village, right? We don't want you to be deceived by his illusion, so we force you to join Akatsuki. Conan shook her head and continued to tell the story of the past in a low voice. At the beginning, our negotiations with Hanzo of the Salamander went smoothly. The ninja demigod was a strong man who had defeated Jiraiya, and we trusted him without reservation. Until before the negotiations, when I was patrolling the border with others, we encountered a premeditated ambush. The others all died in order to protect me, including your father. Conan slowly turned her head and looked at Uehara Naraku with a flash of guilt and heartache. Uehara Naraku stopped turning the palm of the roasted fish and looked directly at Conan. So Conan, teacher doesn't want me to take the risk to save you? Yes. Conan nodded and continued in a low voice, but that battle was just the beginning of the destruction of the first generation of Akatsuki. Conan did not hide what happened next. It was because Conan herself was captured by Hanzo of the Salamander that the Akatsuki organization was controlled by others in the talks with Hanzo of the Salamander. In order to save Conan, Yahiko was forced to commit suicide on the spot. In order to rescue Conan, Nagato used the power of the Outer Path demon statue and was almost drained of his vitality and chakra. His legs were even blown up by the detonating tag of Hanzo of the Salamander. I'm the one who should die there. Conan's fingers tightly grasped the wooden stick in her hand, and the sound of the wood breaking merged with the crackling sound of the burning flames. No one should die. Uehara Naraku shook his head, slowly reached out, and grabbed Conan's palm, and whispered, the evil deeds committed by the evil people are not a reason for us to feel guilty for the disaster here. Conan lowered her head silently. Obviously, her spirit would not improve because of Uehara's comfort. Uehara Naraku sighed, rubbed his forehead, and whispered, if Lord Nagato and teacher Conan are willing, maybe we can try. Let Hanzo of the Salamander experience the despair of being deceived. What? Conan raised her head and looked at Uehara Naraku. She didn't quite understand what her disciple meant. Uehara Naraku continued to explain softly, the Hidden Rain village and Salamander Hanzo don't know that Shimura Danzo cannot leave Konoha for the talks. Then can we transform into Konoha ninjas and make an appointment with him in the name of Shimura Danzo? After finishing speaking, Uehara Naraku raised his hand in the form of a knife. If it is such a big thing with Shimura Danzo, Hanzo should show up himself, right? We will take this opportunity to surround and kill Salamander Hanzo. How is this possible? Conan shook his head and strongly disagreed with Uehara Naraku's plan. Salamander Hanzo is very suspicious. He will not show up easily. If he finds a flaw. Anyway, we won't lose anything. Uehara Naraku spread his hands and looked at his teacher helplessly. If he doesn't come, we will just waste a little time. Conan raised another question. What if Salamander Hanzo takes this opportunity to order a group of Hidden Rain village ninjas to besiege us? Teacher. Uehara Naraku was a little upset. but he still pulled himself together and explained, "We have arranged hundreds of millions of detonating tags at the negotiation site in advance. It should be no problem to destroy a group of enemies, right?" Conan's eyes suddenly flashed with a glimmer of light. She thought for a while and nodded. "In order to deal with Uchiha before, I used 200 billion detonating tags and 400 billion detonating tags to test the god's paper art twice." Uehara Naraku's eyes were dull for a second. Conan's expression gradually became a little serious. "This time I can just use them to test the god's paper art with 600 billion detonating tags to determine how long 600 billion detonating tags can explode." Uehara Naraku looked at Conan as if he was looking up to a mountain. Seeing 600 billion detonating tags in anime and seeing them in reality must be completely different concepts. Especially today, he saw Conan use 1 million detonating tags and directly blow up a mountain. Uehara Naraku swallowed his saliva and said in a somewhat obscure voice, "Teacher, isn't it a waste of so many detonating tags?" "It won't be a waste." Conan touched Uehara Naraku's head and said softly, "The purpose of the experiment of 600 billion detonating tags this time is to deal with Uchiha. After I confirm the experimental results, I can find a way to ambush that guy." Uehara Naraku sighed in his heart. In the original history, the 600 billion detonating tags did not actually kill Uchiha. "Naraku, I'm your teacher." Xiaonan stretched out his palm and stroked Uehara Naraku's cheek. "So, I will not allow anyone to hurt you. Teacher Xiaonan." Uehara Naraku grabbed Xiaonan's palm and whispered, "Those who have hurt the teacher, I will not let them go." Hearing a 12-year-old boy speaking in this tone, Xiaonan couldn't help but chuckled and said, "Well, we may not be able to ambush Hanzo of the salamander. That can also scare him and let the teacher vent his anger." Uehara Naraku was a little indignant. He was obviously talking seriously. "Thank you for the reward from UNG27. Another 100 points. Let me be happy for a day." "Thank you for the reward from Shenzii. Thank you for the reward from book friend 201705142319544460. Thank you for the reward from book friend 201912222224758576. Thank you for the reward from book friend 2017101323104105. Thanks to Shengang Mi for the reward. We are old friends. Thanks to Mirren Teden for the unsolicited reward. Thank you, Big Brother. Big Brother is so great. And the book friend whose name I don't know a single word of. I also want to thank you. But I really don't know a single word of your name. Chapter 74 6 Paths of Pain's first mission. As the saying goes, one person's wisdom is short, but three people's wisdom is long. Conan told Nagato that they tried to use the name of Shimura Danzo to lure Hanzo of the salamander out for a meeting and then ambush him. Nagato not only approved their plan, he even planned to show up himself. If the ambush plan proposed by Uehara Naraku could succeed, it would be their most perfect revenge on Hanzo of the salamander. After all, Hanzo ambushed them in the name of meeting. Because this plan was too dangerous, Conan ordered Kaguya Kimimaro and Shiro to take Hattori Hirakawa to another distant base to carry out the mission. Conan didn't want too many people to know Nagato's secret. "Is Lord Nagato here just like this?" Uehara Naraku looked at Nagato sitting in a wheelchair with a strange look in his eyes. Tendo Pain stood beside Nagato, and the other 5 Pains stood behind them. This was the first time Uehara saw Nagato. Nagato's red hair was a little dull, his cheeks were deeply sunken, there was little color on his lips, and his skinny body looked extremely thin. What was terrifying was that there were several black sticks stuck in Nagato's back. Those were the remains of the chakra and vitality that the outer path demon statue had extracted from his body, and now they were used by him to control the 6 paths of pain. Conan looked at Nagato with a worried look and whispered to dissuade him, "Nagato, you should rest in the base." "Ahem, don't worry." Nagato coughed a few times, waved his hand to stop Conan from trying to persuade him, raised his head, and looked at Uehara and said, "Uehara, your teacher and I both agree with your plan. This time I'm just here to be a supplementary helper." Nagato might be worried that Conan would refute, so he continued softly, "After all, there are only a few of us present here who are the real members of Akatsuki, and I don't want to miss this." After Nagato finished speaking, He controlled the heavenly path of pain and stood up. This time, it will also be a battle, where God descends to the land of rain. Uehara Naraku. What he said was fine before. Why did he become so second year student again later? Anyone who calls himself a god in the second dimension will never have a good ending. You can be high profile in doing things, but you must remember to be low key in life. Uehara Naraku thought about whether to persuade Nagato in the future so that he would not be defeated by his mouth in the future. Uehara Naraku patted his forehead and said softly, Lord Nagato, Teacher Conan, let's discuss the plan first. According to the information obtained by Human Path Pain, Yamanaka Feng did not leak to the Hidden Rain Village, that Shimura Danzo could not leave Konoha, and all negotiation matters were decided by Yamanaka Feng. Now Yamanaka Feng and several classes of root ninjas have all died in battle, and the news channel has been temporarily blocked. We don't have much time. Uehara Naraku said in a deep voice, we only have 5 days at most to complete this plan, or even 3 days, because Shimura Danzo can't get the news of Yamanaka Wind, and he should send the next group of people soon. Uehara Naraku looked at Conan and Nagato nodded, and continued, next, we must be able to transform into the Konoha ninja named Yamanaka Wind, continue to negotiate with the Yamazaki Kamada of the Hidden Rain Village, and strive for a meeting with the Yamazaki Hanzo. Conan hesitated and asked a question. Ordinary transformation techniques are difficult to hide from ninjas, and they will be easily exposed by the other party, right? Anyway, our plan is just to try. Although he said so, Uehara himself was very confident. Uehara Naraku was able to transform into the appearance of Yamanaka Wind, and his natural illusion skills were even more powerful than the transformation techniques of White Zetsu. The natural illusion skills were far more realistic than the transformation techniques of the ninja world. As long as he did not use skills or was attacked, ordinary ninjas would not be able to see through his skills. The battle plan was determined very smoothly. The whole plan is divided into 3 parts. Nagato and Conan went to the designated meeting place to set up the Sea of Explosive Talismans. Uehara Naraku went to meet with the Salamander Kamada. Kaguya Kimimaro and Haku went to the northern stronghold to make trouble, so that the people of the Hidden Rain Village would think that the members of Akatsuki were not in the Eastern Canyon, reducing their suspicion and increasing the probability of success. After they determined the steps of this plan, Conan was a little confused. Is our plan a little too hasty? There is nothing we can do about it. Uehara Naraku sighed, looked around at the 6 paths of pain, and continued softly, we are too few in number. Fortunately, there are still Nagato's 6 paths of pain who can help pretend to be the follower ninja of the root. Conan. Nagato. It is estimated that they have never thought that the first mission of the 6 paths of pain to appear collectively is to pretend to be the follower ninja of the root. Isn't this pattern a bit low? However, if the plan proposed by Uehara Naraku can succeed, it will definitely be a fatal blow to the Salamander Hanzo, and it will also be a very pleasant process for Nagato and Conan. Eliminate the enemy using the enemy's method. It is simply the best way to interpret revenge. Nagato sighed faintly, and could only manipulate 6 paths of pain to put on the hidden uniform of the Konoha root ninja. The next day, Uehara Naraku transformed into the appearance of Yamanaka Wind and took 6 paths of pain to the negotiation site of the Salamander Kamado, wanting to use Hanzo's right hand to induce the Salamander Hanzo to participate in a real meeting. This is the time agreed upon by the Konoha ninja and the Hidden Rain ninja. As for the location, it is still the Eastern Canyon, where they had a meeting last time. It happened that Uehara Naraku had been to this place with Hattori Hirakawa. You are 1 minute late. The Salamander Kamada glanced at Yamanaka Feng on the opposite side, and then glanced at the Konoha ninjas wearing cloaks behind Yamanaka Feng, and snorted coldly, we contacted you with the sincerity of uniting Konoha. After a second of pause, the Uehara Naraku card Yamanaka Feng said, this is because we just received a new order from Lord Danzo. He doesn't think that the negotiations between the two of us can produce any results. What does this mean? Hearing what the other side said, the Salamander Kamada's face instantly became furious. Is Konoha trying to trick us? It was obviously you who proposed the alliance first. Before, in front of the Salamander Hanzo, the Salamander Kamada insisted that Hanzo agree to let the Hidden Rain Village and the roots of Konoha continue to unite to wipe out the Akatsuki organization. Now Konoha suddenly told him that it doesn't want to play anymore. Don't be so excited. Uehara's version of Yamanaka Feng shook his head, glanced at the rain ninjas opposite, and whispered, "We do sincerely want to unite with Lord Hanzo, but the two of us can't make the final decision in this negotiation, right?" "What do you mean?" "It means literally." Uehara's version of Yamanaka Feng looked at Salamander Kamita with some regret in his eyes, and continued in a low voice, "I respect your unwillingness to give up an inch in the interests of the Hidden Rain Village, but I'm no longer qualified to participate in the negotiations." Salamander Kamita was a little satisfied with what Yamanaka Feng said. Hanzo raised his right eyebrow and had a ferocious smile on his face. "If that's the case, it seems that Konoha is going to send a big shot." "That's right." Uehara's version of Yamanaka Feng nodded carefully and said in a deep voice, "Lord Danzo will rush to the Rain Country the day after tomorrow. He hopes to have a personal meeting with Lord Hanzo the day after tomorrow to discuss the alliance between Konoha and Rain Ninja and the number of ninjas we will send to assist you. I can't agree to this." Salamander Kamada shook his head hesitantly and said in a deep voice, "The last time Lord Hanzo and Konoha's Danzo joined forces, there were some disputes in the village. After all, there will be some grudges left over from the Ninja World War." After considering his words, Salamander Kamada continued, "Our negotiations this time are secret, and the people present are all Hanzo's confidants. If more people know about this, it will not be good for Hanzo's prestige." After the salamander finished speaking, the 6 Konoha root ninjas standing nearby obviously moved, and soon these movements aroused the vigilance of the rain ninjas. This is the 6 paths of pain controlled by Nagato who can't sit still. Since the plan can't succeed, just kill these people and collect some interest. The Yamanaka wind in the Uehara version quickly waved his hand to signal them to stop and looked at the salamander with an ugly look. The reputation of the ninja demigod is certainly important, but our Lord Danzo also took a huge risk to come to the Rain Country. You might as well go back and tell your demigod that, if it weren't for our Lord Danzo who has been trying to find ways to advocate the alliance with the Hidden Rain Village in the Konoha high level, the Anbu of Konoha would have been active in your Rain Country to steal intelligence unscrupulously. I wish you all a happy Chinese Valentine's Day. Anyway, I'm not happy, so I ask for some recommendation votes and rewards to make the single dog author happy too. Thank you for the reward from Yuan G27. Thank you for the reward from Yuan Hangwikian. Old friends again. Chapter 75. Where is the place that really means something to you? A group of rain ninjas were furious. The sound of ninja swords being unsheathed came one after another. The Konoha ninja on the opposite side actually humiliated their rain village like this. How could these rain ninjas who were loyal to Hanzo stand such stimulation? The anger on the face of the salamander Kamada flashed away. He waved his hand to stop the actions of other subordinates and said coldly, "Are you humiliating our rain village? Come on if you want to." The Uehara version of Yamanaka Feng looked at the many rain ninjas coldly and said in a deep voice, "It doesn't matter if I'm humiliated, but I'm now representing Danzo-sama." As soon as this sentence came out, the other rain ninjas stopped their actions. Generally, those who die for the humiliation of their superiors will be respected by them. This is also the culture of the ninja world, especially the Rain Village, which also has a lot of samurai atmosphere. Yamanaka Feng was fearless and just wanted to get a chance for his superior to meet Hanzo-sama to prevent his superior from returning empty-handed. It's a bit admirable. The salamander Kamada didn't feel anything. He frowned and asked in a deep voice, "I agree that Hanzo-sama and Danzo-sama meet, but the time and place. We have considered this matter." Uehara's version of Yamanaka Feng immediately hit the nail on the head and put forward his own idea. If Danzo-sama shows up in the Hidden Rain Village, it will be very detrimental to Hanzo-sama's prestige and Danzo-sama's safety. At this point, Uehara Naraku paused and continued, "So Danzo-sama plans to arrange the meeting place to the place where we cooperated to eliminate Akatsuki last time, to discuss how to completely solve the problem of Akatsuki." The salamander Kamada was silent for a while, nodded and said, "I will find a way to facilitate this meeting. I will reply to you as soon as possible tomorrow. If Hanzo-sama agrees, the meeting time will also be told to you tomorrow." "Okay." Uehara's version of Yamanaka Feng nodded. Since the negotiations were over, there was no need for them to stay here. Wait. Just as Uehara, Naraku and Six Paths Pain turned to leave, the salamander Kamada suddenly called them again. If Mr. Danzo can't meet the conditions of Master Hanzo, this meeting may end unpleasantly. Uehara Naraku stopped his steps. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He turned his back to the salamander Kamada and whispered, "Don't worry. Since Master Danzo is willing to come in person, he will definitely give Master Hanzo a satisfactory answer. A very satisfactory answer. Well, maybe some people will not be satisfied with the answer, but at least Konan and Nagato are very satisfied, which is enough. Uehara Naraku is willing to guarantee it with his own integrity." But this sentence obviously gave the salamander Kamada a reassurance. He believed that Shimura Danzo's concession would definitely satisfy the salamander Hanzo. Some idiots are really hopeless. In order to reach a cooperation as soon as possible, the salamander Kamada hurriedly led people back to the Hidden Rain village to report their negotiation results to the salamander Hanzo and show his ability. By the way, it was because of his insistence that the Konoha ninjas gave in. Hanzo Salamander was too lazy to pay attention to him, but just frowned and thought, "Is that guy Shimura Danzo still willing to cooperate with us?" After their last cooperation, he stood Danzo up. Shimura Danzo sent people to urge him every once in a while, but Hanzo Salamander didn't want to be involved in Konoha's Hokage dispute at all. He just wanted to use Danzo. Hanzo Salamander really hoped that Danzo would come to power. But if he really publicly supported Shimura Danzo, if he attracted the wrath of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the current strength of the Hidden Rain village might not be able to withstand it. As the saying goes, a dying camel is bigger than a horse. Even though the Uchiha clan of Konoha had just been destroyed and was seriously injured, it was not a ninja village that the Hidden Rain village could compete with. Hanzo Salamander was old and a little afraid of death. Now he just wants to maintain his title as a ninja demigod and protect his current power and prestige. It's a bit embarrassing to say this, but if Hanzo and Shimura Danzo continue to cooperate this time, he wants to stand Danzo up again. Anyway, Danzo is over 60 years old this year, and it doesn't look like he can sit on the position of Hokage. Cheating him won't cause Konoha's full revenge. And Shimura Danzo's actions are sinister and dark, and he will not end well sooner or later. If it weren't for the resurgence of the Akatsuki organization, Hanzo the Salamander really didn't want to continue colluding with Danzo, so as not to cause any trouble. Salamander Hanzo remembered what he was most concerned about, and asked in a deep voice, "Is there any movement from the Akatsuki organization? Has another base been attacked by their members?" "Yes." Salamander Kamada nodded and whispered, "When I came back today, I just got a piece of news. The northern base was attacked. 2 strong kids suddenly attacked them and killed most of their men." Salamander Hanzo was silent for a while, then lowered his head and said, "Has the Akatsuki organization started to recruit those talented ninja kids?" "Kamada, promise the Konoha ninja. I want to meet with Danzo Shimura." After seeing Salamander Kamada nodded, Hanzo added, "On the day of the meeting, remember to bring more people to make sure everything is foolproof." "Yes." Salamander Kamada agreed respectfully. Hanzo nodded with satisfaction and continued to ask, "Where will our meeting be arranged?" "The place where Hanzo-sama surrounded and suppressed Akatsuki." The Salamander Kamada replied in a low voice, "This is also the location proposed by the Konoha ninja and me, because they don't want Shimura Danzo to enter the village, so as not to encounter any danger. I also don't want Danzo to come in, so as not to damage the prestige of the Lord." A trace of fear flashed in Hanzo's eyes, and then he quietly hid it. The old man clenched his fist and hit the table. "Okay, let's set it at that location. This time we must wipe out Akatsuki." Everything was as Uehara Naraku expected. The Salamander Kamada agreed to their request and sent someone to arrange a meeting the day after tomorrow in the official meeting place. That place was exactly where Yahiko committed suicide. Konan was a little excited, her nails tightly gripping her palms. "In that case, has our plan succeeded?" "At least half of it succeeded." Nagato nodded and continued in a deep voice, "If Salamander Hanzo really shows up there the day after tomorrow, we must not let him go this time." Uehara Naraku glanced at the two of them and chuckled. "Maybe that ninja demigod will be very surprised. He will definitely be surprised this time." Nagato clenched his fists in hatred, and after a moment he looked at Uehara Naraku with some doubts. Uehara, why do you think Hanzo will choose to contact Danzo there? Because Teacher Conan and Lord Nagato think that is a meaningful place. Uehara Naraku slowly raised his head and continued softly. Hanzo will also think that it is a place with unique significance for his next step, to wipe out our Akatsuki, so he will definitely agree to choose to meet there. Maybe this is metaphysics? People in the ninja world are actually very superstitious. After finishing speaking, Uehara Naraku added, just like if I don't see Teacher Xiaonan one day, I will go to the cave where we first met to find her, because I know that place means a lot to Teacher Xiaonan. Is that so? Xiaonan looked a little puzzled. After thinking about it, she actually thought that what Uehara Naraku said made sense. After thinking for a while, Xiaonan asked back, Naraku, where is the place that means something to you? Uehara Naraku looked at Xiaonan's curious eyes, looked at her and said, I'm still looking for it. Maybe Teacher Xiaonan will find the answer before me. Thank you for the reward from Key Club, I'll beat you to death. Thank you for the reward from Shenzii. Thank you for the uninvited reward from Mirren Teden. Thank you for the reward from book friend 20200516195956206. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.